Chapter 73. Gargoyles. These are bronze gargoyles. Be careful, ancient warlocks are extremely fond of using bronze gargoyles as guards. If these bronze gargoyles were to be mobilized, each one's battle prowess would be comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. They possess formidable defensive power as well as various resistances. Curse-type spells are completely ineffective against them. They have extraordinary strength. Their claws are extremely sharp and can easily tear apart all kinds of defensive force fields. Only elemental spells such as Fireball, that kind of destructive spell, can blast them to pieces or destroy their energy cores. Only then can they be effectively killed. After Eunice saw those gargoyle statues, her complexion suddenly changed greatly and she immediately warned. Those gargoyle statues number up to 3,000. Once they are all resurrected. 3,000 terrifying gargoyles with battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 warlock, even a level 3 warlock can be directly killed. When the bladed troop that was exploring the path arrived near a gargoyle, the rubies embedded in the gargoyle's eyes shone. It instantly brandished its huge sharp claws and clawed at the bladed troop's head, directly chopping off its head. The bladed troop immediately chopped backhandedly. 8 huge alloy blades fiercely chopped at the gargoyle's body, forcibly chopping the gargoyle into several pieces. As if poking a hornet's nest, the gargoyles opened their eyes one after another. Their ruby-like eyes flickered with a savage radiance. They flapped their wings and pounced towards the bladed troop. More than a dozen gargoyles at once pounced towards the bladed troop. A transparent protective cover emerged from the bladed troop's body. The gargoyles forcefully clawed. Their claws easily tore the transparent protective cover to shreds. They ferociously clawed at the bladed troop's body and frantically tore it apart. The more than a dozen gargoyles tore. The bladed troop with battle prowess comparable to that of a pinnacle level 1 warlock was immediately torn apart. The close to 3,000 gargoyles also pounced towards Yang Feng's party with gusts of gale. Eunice saw those 3,000 gargoyles pouncing towards them. Her pretty face suddenly changed greatly. She couldn't help but retreat a few steps and almost instinctively wanted to release a defensive spell. Yang Feng ordered coldly. Fire! 200 level 7 gunner troops quickly adjusted the muzzles of the Vulcan cannons. Countless tongues of flame sprayed out, forming a metal barrage capable of shattering everything in its path towards the 3,000 gargoyles in the sky. The firepower of the Vulcan cannon can easily tear an armored vehicle to shreds. When the terrifying firepower bombarded the gargoyles, they were blasted into pieces. Among those giant gargoyles, a lot of them forcibly passed through the terrifying barrage, but were intercepted by those equally tyrannical bladed troops. Both sides crazily fought against each other. From time to time, several bladed troops were torn to pieces, but even more of those giant gargoyles were chopped into pieces. What a terrifying mechanical puppet army! With such a formidable mechanical golem legion, unless it's a great warlock rank expert, otherwise, even a level 3 warlock would only end up dead if they encounter it head-on. Eunice watched as the bladed troops and the giant gargoyles crazily fought against each other. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of astonishment. Those 3,000 giant gargoyles already possessed the terrifying strength to kill a level 3 warlock. Currently, the Mechanical Legion only had less than 1,000 units, yet it was able to completely suppress the giant gargoyles. The Mechanical Legion's battle prowess was terrifying. It made Eunice feel extremely shocked. Even if an extremely stupid person ate an enlightenment fruit, they could also become a terrifying sage with a learning ability surpassing that of mortals. This is an almost extinct extraordinary plant. It's also a treasure that we warlocks yearn for even in our dreams. The value of an enlightenment fruit exceeds that of this botanical garden by several tens of times. Chapter 74. Enlightenment Fruit. It's actually such a legendary treasure. I must get it. Yang Feng's eyes lit up when he heard that. He looked at the fruit tree in the center of the botanical garden, his eyes brimming with excitement and greed. Yang Feng, this level 3 apprentice warlock, was purely an inferior level 3 apprentice warlock who had accumulated all kinds of rare elixirs. His learning ability, compared to this world's warlock geniuses, was simply extremely inferior. Even though he used the power of the smart microchip, he could only record all kinds of knowledge inside the smart microchip. Wanting to understand and flexibly use it was simply impossible. Once he ate an enlightenment fruit, Yang Feng's learning ability would increase sharply, reaching the level of this world's warlock geniuses. Henceforth, the speed at which he learned all kinds of knowledge would increase geometrically. Warlocks were extremely formidable because they grasped limitless knowledge. The more formidable the warlock, the greater the amount of knowledge grasped. Only then would they have limitless means to deal with all kinds of formidable beings from various major planes. Eunice suppressed the excitement in her heart, her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of worry. She looked at Xiaofan beside her and said, "Enlightenment fruits can only be stored in boxes carved from sapphire. The moment it comes into contact with other containers, it will directly vaporize. The majority of extraordinary plants could be stored in glassware. However, there were also a lot of rare extraordinary plants that had different harvesting methods. With the slightest carelessness, those extraordinary plants would be destroyed." Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly, his gaze was somewhat unkind as he stared at Eunice and said in a deep voice, "There's also this matter of attention, Teacher Eunice, the extraordinary botany that you gave me isn't complete." Eunice promptly said, "No, what I gave you was the Extraordinary Botany Foundation. There's no method of harvesting treasures like enlightenment fruits in the foundation. You have to know that in the world of warlocks, knowledge is the most precious wealth. It's impossible for free knowledge to be anything too good. The extraordinary botany that I gave you before was already more than sufficient compared to the information given by many teachers. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to recognize enlightenment fruits." Yang Feng carefully recalled for a moment, then inquired about Black Cottage's Master Bonnie's memories. He discovered that it was indeed as Eunice said. The extraordinary botany knowledge she gave him was by far beyond the extraordinary botany knowledge Bonnie grasped. Yang Feng said lightly, "After returning, I need all of your knowledge." Eunice's expression changed several times. She hesitated for a moment before gritting her teeth and saying, "Yes." Yang Feng's mind moved and the three-bladed troops immediately walked towards the enlightenment fruits in large strides. Suddenly, 20 m in front of the enlightenment fruit, a palm-sized strange plant with 60% resemblance to a sunflower suddenly enlarged to an incomparably huge size. The center of the flower suddenly opened, revealing beast-like teeth. Dripping with saliva, it ferociously bit towards the three-bladed troops as swift as a clap of thunder that left no time to cover one's ears. The three-bladed troops didn't have the strength to resist and were ruthlessly bitten by the extremely strange plants. Their bodies burst open, various components ejected from their bodies onto the ground. Ear-piercing chewing sounds came from the strange plant. Yang Feng lost contact with the three-bladed troops at once. After swallowing the three-bladed troops, the strange extraordinary plant at once shrunk and turned into a sunflower-like appearance. Eunice looked at the strange extraordinary plant and warned, "Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower. This extraordinary plant has a terrifying attack speed and attack power. Even level 2 warlocks, so long as they enter their range of attack, they'll be swallowed by them in a flash. Under the circumstances where they're unguarded, level 3 warlocks may also be killed by them in a flash. Their only weakness is that their range of attack is too short, merely 30 m. As long as they're more than 30 m away, they can be killed by using the level 1 spell Fireball or similar elemental offensive spells. Attack!" Yang Feng waved his hand and ordered. The 2 gunner troops in a flash adjusted their muzzles. Flames flickered and countless Vulcan artillery shells bombarded the Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower. The sunflower-like Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower seemed to have felt that its life was in danger. It suddenly swelled up and turned into a more than 20 m long, 2 m thick Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower with countless spikes and the teeth of wild beasts. The countless Vulcan artillery shells bombarded the Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower's vines, blasting open fist-sized holes. A large amount of white mucus sputtered out from the Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower's vines. The Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower madly twisted its body and issued traces of beast-like roars. After a few breaths, the Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower's vines were smashed by the terrifying shellfire. The three-bladed troops quickly stepped forward, brandished the alloy blades in their hands and chopped the Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower's body into pieces, crushing its terrifying flower core. After getting rid of the Anima Magic Rattan Man-Eating Flower, the three-bladed troops took large strides towards the Fruit of Enlightenment tree. Suddenly, in the surroundings of the Fruit of Enlightenment tree, an up to 10 m tall enormous flower at once bloomed. A crystal ball in the center of the flower instantly cracked, accompanied by an extremely terrifying dragon might. A dragon breath capable of burning everything was sprayed from the crystal ball towards the three-bladed troops. In the blink of an eye, the three-bladed troops, without any strength to resist, were directly turned into ashes by the dragon breath. At the same time, under the shroud of the dragon breath, nearly half of the botanical garden was directly destroyed by the dragon breath, turning into a stretch of scorched land. Eunice's tender body trembled slightly, Her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of fear and she muttered in a low voice, "Dragon breath! It's actually dragon breath. Too terrifying." Dragon breath was the breath of a dragon. An ordinary adult dragon possessed terrifying battle prowess comparable to that of a great warlock. An ancient dragon even possessed terrifying battle prowess comparable to that of a starry sky warlock. An ordinary adult dragon's dragon breath could heavily injure or even kill a great warlock rank expert. Its might was boundless. If one went to pick the enlightenment fruits without taking precautions, then even if a great warlock rank expert was slightly careless, they would also be killed by the dragon breath. Yang Feng saw that more than half of the precious botanical garden had been destroyed. His eyebrows creased. He ordered the 3-bladed troops to continue picking the 9 enlightenment fruits. The sealing of the dragon breath was extremely difficult. This time, the 3-bladed troops finally smoothly picked the 9 enlightenment fruits from the enlightenment tree. After the 9 enlightenment fruits were picked, all of the precious plants in the botanical garden suddenly withered and withered. The enlightenment tree also withered in a flash, condensing into a blue crystal-like seed. Chapter 75. Eunice sighed somewhat regretfully. After the enlightenment fruit is picked, the enlightenment tree will extract the life essence of the surrounding plants and once again condense into an enlightenment seed. If the surrounding plant's life essence is insufficient, then the enlightenment tree will be unable to condense into an enlightenment seed due to the lack of nutrients. It's because of this habit that they become fewer and fewer. Enlightenment seeds and enlightenment fruits are different. They need to be stored in a ruby box in order to maintain their activity. A bladed troop carefully placed the enlightenment seed into a box carved from a ruby. After collecting the enlightenment seed, Yang Feng somewhat regretfully looked at the ruined botanical garden, then continued to walk towards the interior of Gloom Cave with the huge mechanical legion. On both sides of the road behind the botanical garden, Yang Feng could see broken bones lying on the ground everywhere. Traces of gloomy auras continuously diffusing from the bones. Everywhere were the remains of all kinds of buildings, showing that Gloom Cave's headquarters had experienced a terrifying battle. Yang Feng dispatched those bladed troops to search everywhere, but didn't discover any valuable secret treasures. The Third Warlock Dynasty had already existed for several tens of thousands of years. Apart from some top-secret treasures, or secret treasures preserved using special methods, the majority of secret treasures would have been reduced to scrap metal under the corrosion of such a long time. Although they didn't discover any valuable secret treasures, but there were a lot of extremely precious metals in Gloom Cave. Those extremely precious metal materials were all dismantled by Yang Feng's bladed troops, in preparation to be used as materials to manufacture higher-ranked battle robots. After walking for approximately another 10 kilometers, a densely packed group of warlock pagodas appeared in the center of Gloom Cave. Found it! Yang Feng's spirit was roused. His eyes flashed with a whiff of excitement. Then he quickly moved towards the group of warlock pagodas with a huge mechanical legion. When he arrived before the group of warlock pagodas, the excitement in Yang Feng's eyes at once disappeared without a trace. The huge group of warlock pagodas were practically full of broken bricks and tiles. Corpses were everywhere, looking ghastly. Yang Feng's mind moved. The remaining mechanical legion entered the group of warlock pagodas one after another and began to search for treasures and valuable things. The mechanical legion shared NR 3796's database. Their discernment even surpassed that of a lot of level 1 warlocks. But even so, he didn't gain much from the dilapidated warlock tower complex. He only found a lot of metal materials that could be used to manufacture advanced battle robots. After searching for a full 3 hours, Yang Feng ordered the mechanical legion to stride towards the most luxurious warlock pagoda in the center of the warlock pagoda cluster. In the center of the group of warlock pagodas, there was an up to 300 m tall warlock pagoda. It seemed as if a large part of it had been obliterated by some terrifying tremendous power, yet it still released formidable fluctuations of power. Eunice looked at that huge warlock pagoda and her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of greed. Mysterious steel magic rock, a first-rate warlock pagoda manufacturing material. Any piece of mysterious steel magic rock, even without any blessing, can withstand the attack of a great warlock rank expert. A warlock tower made entirely of mysterious steel magic rock was really too extravagant. After such a warlock tower was completed, as long as there were enough experts keeping watch, then even a peak starry sky warlock would find it difficult to destroy such a warlock tower. Truly worthy of being a warlock group of the Third Warlock Dynasty. The huge black dragon's wings and body were pierced by black chains, and there was a huge bottomless wound on its back, almost cutting it in half. Its body was riddled with scars, a large amount of its scales had already disappeared, revealing all kinds of hair-raising scars. Even so, it still hadn't died, its heart was still beating slowly. Above the black dragon floated a huge transparent crystal. The crystal was engraved with countless mysterious runes. In the depths of the crystal was a fist-sized dimensional crystal emitting spatial force. Chapter 76. After Eunice saw the adult black dragon, a trace of fear flashed in her beautiful eyes. She reminded, "This is an adult black dragon, the most ferocious, vicious, cunning, and powerful dragon among the pentashade dragons. It has great warlock rank battle prowess at the very least. Young Feng, be careful. Great warlock rank extraordinary life forms are very terrifying." Great warlock rank? This is the world of warlocks. The mighty Vedarnia is an ancient black dragon. According to the World of Warlocks division of power, it has starry sky warlock rank strength. That enormous black dragon lying on the ground, with only a heartbeat, slowly opened its eyes and gave them a glance. Its tremendous voice reverberated in the area. Eunice's pretty complexion changed and her voice trembled somewhat. "Starry sky warlock. It's actually such a freak." In the entire Tarandit subcontinent, there were no starry sky warlock rank experts. Even in the main continent, starry sky warlock rank experts were formidable existences that could proclaim themselves as hegemons. In Tarandit subcontinent, if it wasn't for the 6 great forces having their own heritage, then a starry sky warlock rank expert would be able to dominate the entire Tarandit subcontinent and become its king. Vedarnia said in a deep voice, "The mighty Vedarnia is a dragon with endless wisdom and possesses endless knowledge. Isn't the thing that you warlocks desire the most is knowledge from other planes? As long as you bring 50,000 people here for a blood sacrifice, then I'll impart you endless knowledge and let you have the knowledge to promote to a starry sky warlock. This is a deal that's very beneficial to you, isn't it?" When Eunice heard that, her heart was slightly moved and she looked towards Yang Feng. Since the beginning of the Second Warlock Dynasty, human warlocks had begun to explore other planes, absorbing the knowledge of other planes and creating countless cultivation methods. Warlock College Antalya possessed the knowledge to promote to a great warlock. As for the knowledge to promote to a starry sky warlock, even Eunice didn't know whether it possessed it or not. If Vedarnia really possessed the knowledge to promote to a starry sky warlock, then as long as it obtained that knowledge, then it would be enough to establish a peak force second only to the 6 great warlock groups. Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "How can you believe a black dragon's words? Black dragons were the most cunning and savage among the 5-colored dragons. If we really brought 50,000 people here as a blood sacrifice, the first thing it would do after it escaped would be to eat us. It was best not to trade with monsters of the chaotic evil alignment unless one had the power to suppress them. Killing them and refining their corpses and souls into materials is the best choice." The actions of the chaotic evil faction were simply illogical. Many evil and powerful existences would even devour and torture their believers and those who made deals with them to death once they descend upon the world. However, they did have terrifying power and were very good at disguising themselves. Ordinary people would not know this at all. Vedarnia's eyes flashed with a strange light, and it said amiably, "Male human, your knowledge is somewhat biased. In every race there would always be good and bad people, and there would always be some exceptions. I am an exception. I follow the rules of the contract and am an anomaly among the black dragons. As long as you complete the mission I give you, I will protect you and bestow you with a vast amount of knowledge." Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "Sorry, I don't believe you. Only a dead black dragon is a good black dragon. Go get rid of it." The remaining 100+ gunner troops' Vulcan cannons in a flash spat out terrifying tongues of flame, forming a terrifying metal storm as it madly bombarded the black dragon. Vedarnia lowered its head and closed its eyes, saying in a deep voice, "It's useless, little ant. Your attacks are basically unable to injure my body. This is the disparity between you ants and me." The countless Vulcan cannon's shells bombarded Vedarnia's body, before bouncing off one after another, without leaving any marks on its dragon scales. As if popcorn had been thrown at a stone mountain, there was no effect. "Stop shooting." Yang Feng had a gloomy expression as he waved his hand. The mechanical bladed troops immediately stopped shooting. "Artillery troops, go." An artillery troop immediately stepped forward. Its 150mm main artillery extended and aimed at Vedarnia. Boom! A main artillery shell directly bombarded Vedarnia's body. The terrifying explosion immediately engulfed the flesh mountain like Vedarnia. An incredible scene appeared. After the smoke and dust from the explosion dispersed, Vedarnia's huge body was revealed. That huge body unexpectedly didn't receive any injuries. Vedarnia opened its eyes and said with a ridiculing expression, "Male ant, are you giving me a massage? Not bad, it's very comfortable. Give me a few more rounds." Eunice's pretty complexion changed, her beautiful eyes flashed with incredulity. This is a starry sky warlock rank extraordinary life form, truly too terrifying. As long as the 150mm main artillery hit its target, then a single round would be able to kill a level 1 warlock like Eunice. Such terrifying artillery fire, yet it couldn't even injure Vedarnia in the slightest. Vedarnia's terror could be seen at a glance. Xiaofan gave a cold smile and ordered, "Amazing! Truly amazing! Vedarnia, if you were at your peak, then I wouldn't be your match at all. But now that you're nailed here, then only death awaits you. I've already discovered your weakness, now go." The remaining 200 bladed troops quickly launched. Their figures shook and with a speed surpassing that of cheetahs, they madly rushed towards Vedarnia. More than a dozen bladed troops quickly rushed in front of Vedarnia. They brandished their alloy blades and fiercely chopped at Vedarnia's scales. Ding, ding, ding. Amidst a series of crisp sounds, the alloy blades were directly broken. Vedarnia said with a ridiculing expression, "It's no use, these ants can't even break through my scales." 3 bladed troops at once jumped at one of Vedarnia's huge wounds. A superalloy drill bit ejected from their bodies and fiercely stabbed at Vedarnia's wounds. The terrifying superalloy drill bit revolved crazily, forcibly drilling a large hole in Vedarnia's wound. A large amount of dragon blood sprayed out from the hole, scattering on the ground, causing Vedarnia to let out a painful cry. Xiaofan sneered, "You're indeed in existence with an almost invincible defense, but there are too many wounds on your body. Furthermore, your wounds haven't healed, that's your biggest weakness." Chapter 77. Vedarnia angrily roared, "You damned little ant, even if the great Vedarnia is sealed, you ants are still not my match. All of you go to hell." Vedarnia's mountain-like body stood upright and trembled crazily. The shackles tightened as if about to snap. Its dragon wings and tail were bound by shackles and sealed, but its hands could still move. As if swatting flies, it swatted at those bladed troops as swift as a clap of thunder. Those bladed troops practically didn't have the strength to fight back. They were easily swatted by Vedarnia's dragon claws and shattered. Countless parts splashed to the ground. In a short span of less than 5 minutes, those 200 bladed troops were smashed by the scarred Vedarnia one by one. After Vedarnia smashed all the bladed troops, its eyes flashed with a touch of a malevolent smile and it snarled, "Lowly male human, now the mechanical golems you relied on have turned into waste. What other abilities do you have? Don't hesitate to use them. Let me crush your hopes one by one and let you know the disparity between us dragons and ants." Eunice raised her eyebrows and proposed, "Master, let's go first. After we're ready, we'll come back and get rid of it. In any case, it can't escape. After we've promoted to great warlocks, it won't be too late to come back and kill it." Xiaofan suddenly smiled and said, "Just in time. My reinforcements have also arrived. Vedarnia, if you have the ability, then go ahead and kill all of my reinforcements." Finished speaking, bladed troops immediately came out of the cave and continuously moved towards them. Vedarnia looked at the bladed troops that were continuously coming out and said with a cold smile, "These mechanical golems are like scrap metal. Even if 10,000 of them came, they still wouldn't be my match. You're just wasting your strength in vain." Only, Vedarnia's sneer quickly stiffened on its face. The bladed troops coming out of the cave were practically endless. It seemed as if they were going to completely fill the space. Eunice looked at the densely packed bladed troops and her scalp couldn't help but turn somewhat numb. These mechanical golems number more than 100,000. These mechanical golems have battle prowess comparable to level 1 warlocks. How come there are so many of them? Xiaofan gave a cold smile and ordered, "If 10,000 can't kill you, then what about 100,000? What about 300,000? What about 500,000? Vedarnia, I have a total of 500,000 reinforcements on my side. Do your best and get rid of them all. Now." 10,000 bladed troops quickly moved forward and pounced on Vedarnia like ants. "No, damn it. Why do you have so many mechanical puppets? Damn it." Vedarnia saw the densely packed bladed troops and issued a mournful wail. Within a few breaths, Vedarnia madly fought with the 10,000 bladed troops. Terrifying dragon roars resounded unceasingly in the space. Countless mechanical parts splashed everywhere. Hundreds and thousands of bladed troops were easily torn to shreds by Vedarnia. Yang Feng saw the countless mechanical bladed troops shatter and turn into various components. He couldn't help but say, "What a savage monster!" Vedarnia was already heavily injured, and every part of its body was sealed. Moreover, it hadn't eaten anything for several tens of thousands of years. But even so, it was still incomparably ferocious, easily destroying hundreds and thousands of bladed troops. This monster was simply terrifying. If such an ancient black dragon like Vedarnia were to descend to Earth, then apart from nuclear warheads, no other weapons could harm it. It alone could destroy a country. Every time one of those bladed troops was destroyed, another one would automatically take its place, always maintaining the scale of 10,000 as they madly attacked Vedarnia. When Vedarnia destroyed the 10,000 bladed troops, its whole body was already riddled with scars. Countless old wounds were cut open, drops of dragon blood gushed out of its body and fell to the ground. But there were still 10,000 mechanical golems madly attacking it, forcing it to not have the time to recover. Vedarnia's eyes suddenly turned red. It opened its ferocious maw and madly sprayed a red dragon breath towards Yang Feng. 1,000 level. 7 shield troops raised their shields and activated level 2 protective covers, forming a huge protective barrier in front of Yang Feng's group of 3. The scarlet dragon breath fell on the protective barrier. As if tearing a thin piece of paper, it directly burned the protective barrier. The 1,000 level 7 shield troops also melted one by one in a flash within the scarlet dragon breath. But the 1,000 level 7 shield troops blocked it for a split second. Yang Feng's group of 3's figures shook. They directly jumped to the side, dodging the terrifying dragon breath that could seriously injure a great warlock. After the terrifying dragon breath passed through the place where Yang Feng's group of 3 was originally standing, it fell behind Yang Feng, burning more than 2,000 mechanical gunner troops into ashes. Yang Feng said with a cold smile, "Dragon breath? You still dare to spew dragon breath? That's really stupid. In your current state, how many more dragon breaths can you spew? 3 or 5? I still have 10,000 shield troops. Feel free to burn them." Dragon breath was one of the dragon's strongest means of attack. A dragon at its peak could spew 1 to 200 dragon breaths. To use dragon breath against such a heavily injured dragon like Vedarnia, it was simply courting death, wasting its strength in vain. After Vedarnia spat dragon breath, its movement slowed down. Nearly 100 mechanical bladed troops seized the opportunity to fiercely stab its wounds with drills, forcefully directly stirring up a large amount of flesh and blood. Vedarnia roared in pain. It waved its dragon claw, directly smashing the 100 bladed troops into steel chunks, smashing them to the ground. The 100 bladed troops were destroyed, then hundreds and thousands of bladed troops attacked from other places, not giving Vedarnia the slightest chance to catch its breath. Eunice watched as Vedarnia was besieged by the densely packed, ant-like bladed troops, her scalp slightly numbed. Shui was extremely excited as she watched this scene. Vedarnia finally couldn't help but roar loudly, "Human, spare me, spare my life. I can sign a soul contract with you, and make you my master." Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of peculiarity. She remained silent. Yang Feng gave a cold smile. His eyes flashed with a touch of ridicule as he said, "Do you think I'm stupid? The intensity of your soul is more than 1,000 times that of mine. I'm afraid that just after signing a soul contract, I'll be directly devoured by your soul and instead become your slave." Black dragons are really cunning. Therefore, a dead black dragon is the best black dragon. Chapter 78. Yang Feng had obtained a lot of knowledge through his diligent studies in Warlock College Antalya. He was very clear about the dangers of signing a soul contract with those beings from other planes with formidable souls. Those terrifying beings capable of crossing planes to communicate with the world of warlocks were all terrifying experts of the great warlock rank or above. The strength of such terrifying expert souls was extremely astonishing. For mortals to want to sign a master-servant contract with them, that was simply courting death. In the records of warlocks, there were many formidable beings that after signing a master-servant contract with mortals, they would disguise themselves as those mortal slaves, then tempt those mortals to summon them to this world through blood sacrifices and all kinds of evil rituals. Then under the despairing gazes of their masters, they would directly kill those mortals. Only formidable beings of the great warlock rank or above could use a master-servant contract to bind those terrifying beings with strength comparable to starry sky warlocks. If Yang Feng coveted Vedarnia's strength and signed a master-servant contract with it, then he would definitely be easily devoured by it. Vedarnia roared in pain, it brandished its giant claws and directly smashed dozens of bladed troops into pieces. Let me go, I have a lot of knowledge. That knowledge is enough to let you directly promote to a great warlock rank expert. Yang Feng said with a cold smile. I only want you to die. Finished speaking, no matter how Vedarnia pleaded, threatened or tempted, Yang Feng didn't utter a single word. He sneered and ordered the practically endless bladed troops to attack Vedarnia. The crazy battle continued for a full 5 days and 5 nights. 200,000 bladed troops were directly destroyed by Vedarnia. The wreckage of the bladed troops could be seen everywhere in that space. Damn bastard! Lowly male human, if I wasn't seriously injured, if I wasn't sealed, then even if you used that many trash-like mechanical golems, you still wouldn't be my match. Covered in blood and riddled with scars, Vedarnia was lying on the ground, gasping for breath and wailing in extreme pain. Lying on its body were ant-like bladed troops. Those bladed troops used drills to continuously drill into Vedarnia's wounds, drilling into Vedarnia's flesh and destroying its body. Vedarnia had gone through 5 days and 5 nights of sleepless fighting. Its stamina and power were nearly exhausted. It could only helplessly watch those bladed troops destroying its body. That's right. Starry Sky Warlock rank extraordinary life forms are really terrifyingly formidable. If you were at your peak, then I wouldn't be your match. But there are no ifs. You're dead meat. Through the analysis of the life force detector, Yang Feng clearly perceived that Vedarnia's aura of life was gradually weakening, finally revealing a trace of a smile. Under the siege of 500,000 bladed troops, the heavily injured and sealed Vedarnia actually managed to get rid of 200,000 bladed troops comparable to level 1 warlocks. Such terrifying battle prowess left Yang Feng speechless. If he didn't have the help of the Mechanical Legion, then even now, the already seriously injured Vedarnia could casually get rid of Yang Feng, who only had the cultivation of a level 3 apprentice warlock. Vedarnia spat out a mouthful of dragon blood. Tears of blood gushed out from its already gouged out eyes, and it asked full of resentment, Lowly mortal, what is your name? Let me know who killed the great Vedarnia. Yang Feng said with a smile. Powerful beings such as fiends and devils can use a person's name to cast a curse on them. Furthermore, it was his real name that had the greatest effect. Vedarnia, you are really not simple. However, you can die with your doubts. In Black Cottage's inheritance, it recorded the taboos of dealing with those fiends and devils. One of the taboos was that, unless one had the strength to crush them or a secret treasure to defend against curses, otherwise, one must absolutely not reveal one's name in front of fiends and devils. Once one personally reveals one's real name to those strange and evil beings, then those evil beings can use the real name to carry out a vicious curse on the person being cast. The most vicious curse can even be extended for tens or even hundreds of generations. Lowly ant, you're really too careful. I curse you to die a horrible death. I curse your descendants, that every generation of women will be prostitutes and every generation of men will be slaves. I curse you to be unable to promote to a warlock for the rest of your life. One after another, vicious curses gushed out from Vedarnia's mouth, but they didn't have any effect, it was only venting. I don't want to die. I really don't want to die. Along with a mournful lament, Vedarnia finally lowered its head powerlessly and lost its breath, turning into a corpse. Once Vedarnia died, the formidable life force shrouding its body immediately disappeared. Those bladed troops quickly dug out its heart from within its body. Vedarnia's heart was the size of a house. Even though it was already dead, its heart still didn't lose its vitality, it was still beating unceasingly. With each beat, it would squeeze out a large amount of dragon's heart blood. Those bladed troops quickly put the heart into an enormous tempered glass and quickly transported it outside. Very quickly, the tempered glass was transported out of Gloom Cave's headquarters and arrived in front of Yang Feng. A bladed troop at once removed the helmets of Yang Feng, Shui, and Eunice. Yang Feng quickly took off his clothes and at once jumped into the tempered glass pool containing the dragon's heart. Ah! It hurts! Once Yang Feng was soaked in the dragon's blood, it was as if sulfuric acid was splashed on his body. His skin was instantly corroded and ulcerated. An enormous pain was transmitted from his skin, making him directly issue a mournful scream. Dragon's blood had the terrifying effect of allowing mortals to evolve and become extraordinary. But at the same time, ordinary mortals were basically unable to withstand the enormous power contained within the dragon's blood. Mortals below the knight rank basically only had a dead end after being splashed with the dragon's blood. The stronger the effect of the dragon's heart blood within the dragon's heart, the greater its might. Shui also took off her clothes and at once jumped into the dragon's blood pool. Looking at Yang Feng's painful appearance, her eyebrows creased slightly. She pointed with her lily-white finger and shortly after, a minor healing spell fell on Yang Feng's body. Yang Feng felt slightly better after being brushed by the minor healing spell. But in the next moment, that sharp pain that seemed as if it wanted to melt his whole body once again spread throughout his body. Yang Feng operated magic notes tighten at once, as if his whole body changed into that of a giant. His muscles tightened and he frantically devoured the dragon's heart blood's flesh and blood essence into his body. Under the strengthening of magic notes tighten, Yang Feng's body unceasingly disintegrated and reconstructed. Every time he disintegrated and reconstructed, his flesh and meridians would become even stronger. When Eunice saw the young man, her eyebrows creased slightly and she said, "Rains, what do you want to do here?" Rains looked at the beautiful and moving Eunice. A touch of greed flashed past the abyss of his eyes, as if Yang Feng didn't exist. His face carried a gentlemanly smile. "Eunice, you and him both have the fragrance of black dragon heart blood. Where's the black dragon heart blood?" Eunice didn't pay attention to Rains, and instead took the initiative to say towards Yang Feng, "Darren, he's the most beloved son of Black Dragon Pagoda's master Anthony Bolette, Rains." Black Dragon Pagoda. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar radiance. Black Dragon Pagoda was one of Tyrandot subcontinent's 6 strongest great warlock groups. Reportedly, Black Dragon Pagoda's master was a Blood Meridian warlock clan with Black Dragon's blood meridians. Black Dragon's blood meridians were extremely formidable. Adult Black Dragons were basically terrifying existences of the great warlock rank. The Blood Meridian warlock clan that possessed Black Dragon's blood meridians were also in complete control of Black Dragon Pagoda. Moreover, Black Dragon Pagoda was also the most formidable existence among Tyrandot subcontinent's 6 great forces. Rain swept Yang Feng with a contemptuous glance and threatened loftily, "From these mechanical golems, you must be Steel City's waste Yang Feng. These mechanical golems are very good. I like them very much. Offer them to me and then scram. I can spare your worthless life. Otherwise, with just a word from me, I can exterminate your entire Steel City." When Yang Feng heard that, he became furious within. He glanced at the old man beside Rain's and his eyes flashed with a touch of dread. Rain's life force was a notch lower than Eunice's. It was at the level of an ordinary level 1 warlock. But the life force of the old man beside him was extremely huge. It was comparable to that of a level 2 warlock. The old man smiled coldly and threatened in a sinister tone, "My young master wants you to hand over those mechanical puppets. Are you deaf? Or do you want to implicate your uncle and exterminate Steel City?" Eunice's pretty face sank and she said coldly, "Rains, what are you trying to do? Scram at once, otherwise when I return, I'll definitely complain to the council." Rains revealed a trace of a lascivious smile. "Beautiful Eunice, I've wanted to obtain you for a very long time. But you've always been hiding in Warlock College Antalya, leaving me with no way to act. However, after today, you'll become a beautiful addition to my collection. Do you want to come with me now, or do you want to wait for a while and have my butler old Barry invite you back?" Barry revealed a trace of a smile, operated a secret method and an incomparably formidable life force spread from his body. The terrifying life force of a level 2 warlock oppressed Yang Feng, this expert with a level 1 warlock's physique, to the point that it became somewhat difficult to breathe. Eunice's heart shivered. She gave the old man Barry beside Rains a deep glance and was brimming with dread. "Rains, you actually dare to act against me? Aren't you afraid of my father's retaliation?" Rains gave a contemptuous smile and said extremely arrogantly, "Starlight Aldrich, that waste still has some power in the Southern States Alliance. But if he dares to come to our Black Dragon Pagoda, then I guarantee that he won't be able to return. Kill them." Chapter 80. 5 shield troops instantly arrived in front of Yang Feng and Eunice. The shields in their hands flickered with radiance and instantly condensed into 5 transparent protective covers protecting the 2 of them. The 40 gunner troops quickly adjusted their muzzles. The cannons rumbled and spat out tongues of flame, forming a terrifying metal storm that madly bombarded Rains and Barry. Dragon lizard scales. Barry's complexion changed slightly, and he at once unleashed the level 2 Blood Meridian innate defensive spell. In a split second, Pitch-black scales directly grew on his body. The Vulcan artillery's cannons bombarded Barry's body and sputtered traces of sparks, yet they were unable to tear apart the protective scales on his body. Rain's black Chong Pao flashed with radiance and a black protective cover appeared on his body. The cannon shells were also deflected one by the black protective cover. Yang Feng, you actually dare to attack me? You bastard! You bastard! Barry, kill him! Dig out his heart! Kill him for me! Rain's complexion was malevolent as he madly roared. His figure flashed and he very skillfully hid inside the woods. On the other side, Barry's figure flashed and he directly disappeared from within the hail of bullets. In a split second, Barry immediately appeared in front of the protective barrier in front of Yang Feng. His eyes flashed with an incomparably savage radiance. His hands ejected 30 centimeters long sharp claws and he fiercely clawed at the protective barrier. Ding! Along with a crisp sound, the 5 shield troops' protective covers finally blocked Barry's attack. The 40-bladed troops quickly adjusted their muzzles. Taking advantage of the gap between Barry's attacks, they madly strafed him. The incomparably dense hail of bullets bombarded Barry's body and directly sent him flying. The 30-bladed troops took advantage of the opportunity to pounce at him. They brandished their alloy blades and fiercely chopped at Barry. Damn toy golems, break for me! Barry gave a furious roar. His 2 claws directly pierced a bladed troop's protective cover. He exerted his strength and forcibly tore the bladed troop into 2 halves. Boom! The moment the bladed troop was torn into 2 halves, the bomb buried inside the bladed troop's body instantly exploded. The terrifying shock wave instantly blew Barry away. The defensive power of the Rank 2 Bloodline innate defense spell, Dragon Lizard Scales, that Barry had cast, was comparable to that of a real dragon's scales. Even so, that terrifying explosion still shook him to the point of bleeding from his facial orifices. The blood in his body churned, and he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Aim! Fire! The 30 level 7 artillerymen hidden at the side had already locked their main cannons onto Bolsris and opened fire. Boom! 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 Terrifying artillery fire continuously bombarded Barry's location, causing the earth to shake and the mountains to shake. Smoke and dust rose everywhere. After a series of bombardments, the rocket launchers mounted on the level 7 artillery troops started firing in all directions. A dense barrage of rockets was launched towards Barry's location. The terrifying explosions did not stop. The radiance of defensive spells flashed in Barry's direction before shattering. The terrifying bombardments lasted for a full 5 minutes. More than a dozen bladed troops in a flash rushed into the smoke and dust that had yet to disperse. Before long, Barry's severed head as well as his broken corpse were taken out by the bladed troops. Eunice looked at Barry's severed head and corpse, her beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of incredulity. He was killed! A level 2 Blood Meridian Warlock was actually killed just like that. Barry was a level 2 Warlock of Black Dragon Pagoda. He wasn't like the trashes of Fernandro Clan, Evil Snake Eyes and White Elephant's Ivory. Such a powerhouse was actually killed so easily. Steel City's Mechanical Golem Legion is really terrifying. Barry was a level 2 Warlock of Black Dragon Pagoda. He had the complete inheritance of Black Dragon Pagoda. With his terrifying battle prowess as a level 2 Blood Meridian Warlock, he could even contend against some level 3 Warlocks with poor inheritances, and even defeat weak level 3 Warlocks. Such an expert in Yang Feng's mixed Mechanical Legion was killed with just a single bladed troop. The Mechanical Legion's strength was far beyond Eunice's imagination. Yang Feng looked at the level 2 Warlock Barry's corpse, his heart shivered as he said. A level 2 Warlock was killed so easily. That Black Dragon Vedarnia was really too powerful, too terrifying. Vedarnia was heavily injured and sealed. The strength it could display was at most that of a Great Warlock rank. A genuine Great Warlock is definitely much more powerful than it. Moreover, those genuine Great Warlock rank experts have strange methods. They absolutely wouldn't just stand there and let me kill them. In other words, with my current strength, it would be extremely difficult to deal with a genuine Great Warlock rank expert. I surrender. Don't kill me. I surrender. As soon as Rain saw Barry's corpse, he promptly screamed in horror. Under the escort of 3 bladed troops, Rains obediently walked out. Rain's eyes flashed with a whiff of resentment, yet he lowered his posture and said somewhat humbly, Yang Feng, let me go. I can pay the ransom. How about 10,000 magic stones? As long as you let me go, I can give you 10,000 magic stones. Yang Feng said with a smile that wasn't a smile. 10,000 magic stones? The most beloved son of Black Dragon Pagoda's master is only worth 10,000 magic stones? Rains recovered his calm and said unhurriedly, My father Anthony doesn't only have me as his only son. 100,000 magic stones. As long as you let me go, I can give you 100,000 magic stones. There's a secret imprint set up by my father sealed inside my body. If you kill me, then he definitely won't let you off. Yang Feng said with a smile, I want all the cultivation secret methods of Black Dragon Pagoda that you know of. Rain's eyes flashed with a whiff of horror and he said loudly, Impossible! That's my Black Dragon Pagoda's top secret. It's absolutely impossible for me to divulge those secret methods. Even if you kill me, I still won't divulge a single word. I think that you'll tell me honestly in a moment. Yang Feng waved his hand. A bladed troop immediately took out a tube of liquid metal nano-robot elixir and walked towards Rains in large strides. Eunice swept the tube of blood-red liquid metal nano-robot elixir with a glance. Her gaze fell on Rains and she revealed a whiff of sympathy. What do you want to do? If you dare to hurt me, then my father definitely won't let you off. Rain's heart flashed with a whiff of an ominous premonition. He screamed loudly and continuously struggled. Two bladed troops ejected mechanical tentacles and firmly locked onto Rain's body. The other bladed troop directly pricked the tube of elixir into Rain's neck and injected the elixir into his body. Ah! Rain's handsome face instantly distorted. He issued an extremely mournful scream and continuously rolled on the ground. Chapter 81. After experiencing the terror of the liquid metal nano-robot elixir, Rains very quickly became well-behaved and told Yang Feng everything he knew about Black Dragon Pagoda's secret method. Black Dragon Pagoda's highest secret method was the secret method Black Dragon Morph that Rains cultivated. This was a kind of terrifying secret method that only those with Black Dragon's blood meridians could cultivate. Once cultivated successfully and reached the realm of a great warlock, then the cultivator would be able to display a kind of terrifying secret method and temporarily transform into an adult black dragon, possessing a terrifying defensive power, incomparably formidable strength, an all-conquering dragon breath and being able to cast draconic magic capable of destroying cities and exterminating states. Rains was the only son born after Anthony promoted to a great warlock. His black dragon's blood meridians were extremely rich. Although he was a hedonistic son of rich parents, he didn't spend too much time and energy on cultivation, yet he still easily promoted to an official level, 1 warlock. After dealing with Rains, Yang Feng once again put on his helmet and controlled the bladed troops inside Gloom Cave to remove the dimensional crystal. Once the dimensional crystal was removed, the space inside the Warlock Pagoda quickly distorted and shrunk by several tens of times. At the same time, the shackles binding the Black Dragon Vedarnia also broke one by one. After all the shackles broke, an enormous bronze door gradually appeared behind Vedarnia. Along with a burst of loud kacha-kacha sounds, the enormous bronze door slowly opened, revealing a bottomless, unceasingly twisting passageway formed from countless strange symbols, only allowing one person to enter. Eunice saw the passageway formed from countless strange symbols, her beautiful complexion turned pale and she blurted out, Planar path, this is a planar path that can lead to other planes. Gloom Cave can actually create such a legendary treasure like planar path. It's really too heaven-defying. Yang Feng asked curiously, Planar path, what's that? Is it very precious? In terms of breadth of knowledge, Yang Feng simply couldn't compare with Eunice, this genuine genius warlock. Planar path is a path that can allow a warlock's fleshly body to go to other planes. In order to cross the planar barrier and enter other planes, there are many methods, such as projection, possession, reverse summoning and so on. However, projection, possession, reverse summoning and so on to other planes all have all kinds of weaknesses. The strength of the body is basically unable to be displayed. It was very easy for someone to plot against them and kill them. These methods are far less safe than using the planar path to travel to other planes. The practice of us warlocks requires a huge amount of knowledge and endless resources. Many of the resources came from other planes. Master, the Magic Notes Titan secret technique that you cultivate requires the bloodline of the giant god from the plane of giants. Many cultivation techniques can't be cultivated without special resources. A plane with life is also a huge treasure. As long as we conquer a plane, we can obtain the resources and wealth of that plane. It's said that every major force on the main continent has one or several planes as their base. This planar path represents an unknown plane. From the fact that the Gloom Cave had paid a huge price to open up this planar path, the plane at the end of this planar path was definitely a plane with life and a huge amount of resources. If we can take control of that plane, maybe we can obtain more valuable wealth than the entire Tyrandot subcontinent. After all, this planar path might be the only planar path in the entire Tyrandot subcontinent. Eunice looked at that large bronze door, her beautiful eyes flashed with excitement, and she said excitedly, Yang Feng cursed in a low voice. He extended his hand, and metal tentacles formed from liquid metal instantly shot out, rolled up the black box in the center of the crystal altar, and pulled it back from the crystal altar. Then, he stepped into the planar passageway. A top-notch concentration of adult black dragon blood meridians. This formidable blood meridians were already enough for Yang Feng to slowly promote to a level 3 warlock without doing anything. This was the terror of a blood meridian warlock. Black Cottage's Master Bonnie painstakingly cultivated his entire life, yet he was still stuck in the bottleneck from a level 1 warlock to a level 2 warlock. The difficulty of promoting to a warlock could be imagined. Yang Feng felt the changes in his body, mused for a moment, and then directly put on a helmet. Giant Stone City, on the 3rd basement floor of another manor, inside a space made from a 10 thick superalloy wall, a liquid metal robot quickly distorted and transformed into Yang Feng's appearance. After the transformation was completed, Yang Feng walked to the center of the space and carefully picked up the black box from Gloom Cave's headquarters. Warlocks had all kinds of strange methods. Among them, there was no lack of formidable curses attached to a lot of treasures. Even if Yang Feng promoted to a level 1 warlock, he still wasn't willing to be attached to a warlock's curse. The 13 beautiful dark elves following behind her were the matriarchs of the 13 dark elven clans. As soon as they entered the temple, the 14 dark elves immediately prostrated themselves on the ground and continuously prayed and praised the goddess they believed in. A trace of golden light shot out from the statue of the goddess Lolth and entered the forehead of the peerless beauty. The tremendous pressure immediately disappeared and the statue returned to its original form. The great ruler of the Dark Elves has issued a divine decree. The holy war has officially begun. After Cheyenne stood up from the ground, she raised her scepter and announced loudly with a solemn expression, Holy war! The great ruler of the Dark Elves is immortal. Holy war! The great ruler of the Dark Elves is immortal. Waves of fanatical cheers spread wantonly in the huge temple. In a luxurious hot spring in the huge city built by the Dark Elves, a handsome young man with short blue hair was frolicking with a dozen beautiful dark elven girls. The waves of cheers also spread into the hot spring bathroom. Holy war? Damn it, we're not ready yet. The young man frowned and cursed. With a sway of his body, he disappeared from where he stood. In a small palace in the magnificent and luxurious Dark Elven Imperial Palace, the great matriarch of the Dark Elves, Cheyenne, wore an exquisite silver gown with a pair of breasts and a pair of slender and beautiful legs faintly visible. She exuded a languid temperament from head to toe as she reclined on a white tiger-skin sofa. In her arms was a beautiful Dark Elven girl about 11 or 12 years old, and she was wantonly playing with her, making the Dark Elven girl blush and emit strange cries. The young man pushed open the door and sat down next to Cheyenne. With a gloomy expression, he said coldly, Cheyenne, why did you start the holy war now? Our race is not ready yet. Cheyenne said languidly, Gree, this is the divine decree of our god. Divine decree? Damn it! When Gree heard this word, he could only helplessly curse. All the words he wanted to say were stuck in his throat. For races that believed in God, divine decrees were not to be violated. Even if Gree gave 10,000 reasons, he wouldn't be able to convince Cheyenne. Cheyenne also couldn't violate the divine decree. Otherwise, she would lose the favor of God, and her unfathomable power would directly backfire and burn her to ashes. Chapter 84. Cheyenne said faintly, Gree, let's set off together. Gree pondered for a good while, then said with a light smile, We'll set off at the right time. Of course, before we set off, we'll also do our best to support you. After all, we have a common enemy. Cheyenne swept Gree with a glance and said coldly, "Good. If there's nothing else, you can leave." "Then I won't bother you." Gree gave a slight smile. His body directly turned into a cloud of blue smoke and disappeared from where he stood. "It's a pity." Cheyenne looked at Gree's disappearing figure and uttered an incomprehensible sigh. Giant Stone City. After Yang Feng confirmed that the green bead didn't have any curse attached to it, only then did he send the green bead to his true body. In the end, what kind of treasure is this bead? How could it be so solemnly stored in a treasure box by the people of Gloom Cave? Yang Feng held the green bead and continuously fiddled with it. He hesitated for a moment, then immediately poured his spirit force into the green bead. When Yang Feng poured his spirit force into the green bead shone brightly and madly absorbed Yang Feng's spirit force. Yang Feng was shocked. He operated the secret method recorded in Black Dragon Morph in an attempt to restrain his spirit force. But he was basically unable to control his spirit force. It was still nearly completely absorbed by the mysterious green bead. Yang Feng thought somewhat unwillingly, "Don't tell me that I'm going to be sucked dry like this?" Once all the spirit force in his spirit sea was sucked dry, then Yang Feng's soul seed would suffer heavy damage, or even directly collapse. Once the soul seed collapsed, then Yang Feng would become an idiot. Just as Yang Feng's spirit force was about to be devoured, an incomparably pure spirit force was fed back from the green bead and directly entered his spirit sea. Within Yang Feng's spirit sea, the spirit force that was originally like a formless gas at once condensed into traces of mist. The degree of condensation of the spirit force rose by a level. The green bead continuously absorbed Yang Feng's spirit force, and then continuously released traces of extremely pure spirit force that entered Yang Feng's spirit sea, as if there was no end to it. Yang Feng sensed the spirit force transmitted from the green bead, and his eyes flashed with a glint of ecstasy. It's really a top-secret treasure. With this secret treasure, it's equivalent to me cultivating spirit force at all times. My cultivation speed has increased by at least 5 times. For warlocks, the cultivation of spirit force was very crucial. Many powerful spells had to meet the minimum requirement of mental power to cast. A level 2 warlock could suppress a level 1 warlock merely by relying on spirit force pressure, because their spirit force was by far more formidable than that of a level 1 warlock. Yang Feng willed, and a liquid metal robot next to him twisted and deformed, wrapped around the green bead, turned it into a pendant, and wore it around his neck. "I now possess the power of a level 1 warlock. This power belongs to me." The corners of Yang Feng's mouth rose slightly, and he extended his right hand. With a slight thought, black dragon scales directly covered his right hand. Simultaneously, his right hand also in a split second transformed into a dragon-like claw, ejecting 30 centimeters long sharp claws. Those terrifying sharp claws could easily tear apart the defensive force field of a level 2 warlock. After Yang Feng crossed over to the world of warlocks, his heart was always very perturbed, practically madly chasing after power and all kinds of knowledge. He was afraid that Nr. 3796 and his huge mechanical legion would suddenly disappear. In that case, it would be very difficult for him to survive in the world of warlocks after losing his greatest reliance. Now that he had finally promoted to an official level 1 warlock, even if Nr. Yang Feng's physical constitution was superior to Kaneya's in all aspects. Moreover, with the innate spell Black Dragon Scales, he erupted with terrifying battle prowess, and finally wore Kaneya down to death. The first time he defeated a Sky Knight, Yang Feng's heart was brimming with ecstasy. He became even more excited and threw himself into the battle, continuously tempering his combat ability with Kaneya as his opponent. Every day, Yang Feng would construct new level 1 spell models inside his spirit sea. After the construction was completed, he would enter the virtual reality battle cabin and continuously fight with Kaneya. Very quickly Kaneya, who originally could easily defeat Yang Feng, became Yang Feng's target of ravaging and experimenting with spells. After Yang Feng could easily kill Kaneya, Only then did he choose to fight Black Cottage's Master Bonnie. Although they were both level 1 warlock rank experts, but as an official warlock, Bonnie was several times stronger than Kanea, a sky warlock. The fight between Yang Feng and Bonnie was completely one-sided. Even though Yang Feng's physical constitution was superior to Bonnie's in all aspects, but he was still beaten to a pulp by Bonnie's various spells, dying over and over again. Every time Yang Feng died, he would painstakingly ponder over a way to break the spell, learn from Bonnie's fighting methods, practice new spells and enhance his battle prowess. Although Black Cottage's Master Bonnie was merely an existence of a pinnacle level 1 warlock, but he was implanted with fiend blood meridians. Even though it was merely an intermediate fiend blood meridians, yet it still made him very formidable. Coupled with his more than 100 years of cultivation time and rich battle experience, he was practically invincible among those of the same rank, comparable to the weakest level 2 warlock. Even though Yang Feng was implanted with the first-rate Black Dragon's blood meridians, but he still wasn't Bonnie's match. However, during the continuous fights, he also underwent a transformation at a terrifying speed. All of his potential was completely stimulated. A month later, in a plain, Yang Feng, riddled with scars, finally dug out Bonnie's heart with a claw. Ah! I finally killed him! Yang Feng faced upwards and issued a long howl. The howl was brimming with indescribable joy. Within this month, Yang Feng was miserably oppressed by Bonnie. God knows how many times he died at Bonnie's hands. Now that he finally killed Bonnie, it proved that his strength had truly reached the boundary of a pinnacle level 1 warlock. After leaving the virtual reality battle cabin, Yang Feng directly went to Giant Stone City's City Master's Mansion's hot spring, took off all of his clothes and jumped inside. A warm and comfortable feeling instantly pervaded Yang Feng's body, eliminating a lot of his fatigue. Master, let me help you wipe your back, okay? Yang Feng opened his eyes, only to see the sexy and plump figure, twin peaks like 2 small cantaloupes, the sexy and alluring Judy dressed in a faintly discernible transparent silk dress, her pretty face carrying a touch of shyness as she gracefully walked towards him. Yang Feng saw the sexy and alluring Judy brimming with a bewitching aura. His eyes practically spewed fire. His mouth became parched, a fire of lust directly gushed out from within his body. He directly jumped out of the hot spring. Under Judy's exclamation, he embraced the sexy and plump beautiful young lady and pressed her against the side of the hot spring. Chapter 87. It seems that after the Black Dragon's blood meridians were implanted, my control over certain desires has somewhat declined. Inside the hot spring bath, Yang Feng glanced at Judy in his bosom. At this moment, the beautiful young lady from Sanger clan, Judy's whole body had already turned red. Her eyes were tightly closed. She was slightly gasping for breath, as if a powerless kitten was curled up in Yang Feng's bosom. Her beautiful appearance made Yang Feng's heart somewhat restless. After transmigrating to the world of warlocks, Yang Feng had always been in a state of panic, frantically upgrading his strength and learning all kinds of knowledge. At that time, he didn't even have the chance to enjoy such a beautiful young lady like Judy. Now was the first time he was enjoying this delicious dessert. I'm now a level 1 warlock. I'm no longer an ant that can be casually pinched to death. It's also not bad to enjoy in my leisure time. Yang Feng caressed Judy's smooth and elastic skin. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile. However, my enemies are also very powerful. I absolutely can't stop advancing. Yang Feng thought of Starlight Aldrich and felt a headache. Eunice was now under Yang Feng's control. She had already obediently pledged allegiance to Yang Feng. Starlight Aldrich had arranged countless contingencies on her body. Otherwise Yang Feng would have already swallowed her whole. Yang Feng's scalp turned slightly numb when he thought of becoming enemies with Tyrandot subcontinent's most powerful great warlock. The mechanical Black Dragon's battle prowess was comparable to that of a great warlock, but its methods were actually inferior to that of a genuine great warlock. For such a terrifying existence like Starlight Aldrich to kill a level 1 warlock like Yang Feng, he didn't need many methods. I have 4 choices in my current situation. The first is to explore an ancient god's treasure trove. The second is to go to another plane. The third is to go to Black Dragon Empire. The fourth is to go to other places in the name of others. The ancient god's treasure trove is too dangerous. The difficulty of another plane is unknown. If it's a world where formidable existences are everywhere, then it's very unwise for me to go there with my current strength. With Reigns, Black Dragon Empire is a good choice. With him, my development in Black Dragon Empire can be twice the result with half the effort. Moreover, Black Dragon Empire can also consume my elixirs in large quantities. Yang Feng calculated in his mind. The Black Dragon Empire was a force controlled by the Black Dragon Tower. Unlike Warlock College in Talia, Black Dragon Pagoda's warlock groups had infiltrated every nook and cranny of Black Dragon Empire. In the Black Dragon Empire, more than 70% of warlocks were in the hands of the Black Dragon Pagoda. Only a few rogue cultivators with incomplete inheritances were struggling at death's door in the barren wilderness of the Black Dragon Empire. Half a month later, on an incomparably spacious main road in the Black Dragon Empire, an incomparably huge convoy was traveling. That incomparably huge convoy was different from the many carriages in Tyrandot subcontinent. All of them were heavy trucks. In the middle of the hundreds of heavy trucks, there was a huge luxury car. Inside the luxurious limousine, Yang Feng was comfortably lying on Eunice's slender legs. Judy was kneeling on the side, carefully massaging his legs. Shui was all smiles as she peeled crystal fruits and sent them into his mouth. Eunice was holding a book that described the local customs and practices of the Black Dragon Empire, softly reading it. Bud was wearing a warrior's attire, riding a black wildebeest, commanding 100 cavalrymen, proudly opening a path in the front. With the help of a large amount of precious elixirs provided by Yang Feng, Bud had also broken through and promoted to a level 1 Sky Knight a month ago, possessing formidable battle prowess comparable to that of a level 1 warlock. This made Bud even more loyal towards Yang Feng. The convoy ahead. Immediately stop and accept inspection. Suddenly, a biting cold voice came from the front. Darren, we've arrived at Black Dragon City. Bud's respectful voice came from outside the limousine. Yang Feng lazily got up from Eunice's slender legs. The limousine's door automatically opened and he directly walked out. Not far away, there was a 200 tall city wall. Every brick was refined from black steel rock and engraved with mysterious runes. The city wall stretched as far as the eye could see. At the same time, a majestic city with more than 300 warlock pagodas appeared before Yang Feng's eyes. In front of a huge gate below the huge city, there was a team of knights who were maintaining order, all of whom were knight-level powerhouses. 2 knight-rank experts dressed in ordinary city guard uniforms blocked in front of Yang Feng and his entourage. In the surroundings of the huge city gate stood a large number of people waiting to enter the city. Those people had expressions of curiosity as they looked at Yang Feng and his entourage's huge convoy. It was the first time they had seen such a huge Earth-style convoy. However, Black Dragon City was Black Dragon Empire's most flourishing city, as well as the headquarters of Black Dragon Pagoda. Within Black Dragon City, magic sports cars could be seen everywhere. Although those magic sports cars were 80% similar to heavy-duty trucks and large limousines made them somewhat surprised, but they didn't make a fuss. Yang Feng took out a token engraved with a black dragon and directly threw it to a knight, saying lightly, "I'm His Highness Rain's man." The knight received the token and carefully looked at it. His complexion changed slightly. He respectfully handed the token to Yang Feng and said, "Please enter." Rains was Black Dragon Pagoda's Master Anthony's most beloved youngest son. These knights were just ordinary soldiers. How would they dare to make things difficult for Rain's men? 2 knights promptly stepped forward to drive away the citizens waiting to enter the city, opening up a spacious path for Yang Feng and his entourage to enter first. Once he entered Black Dragon City, Yang Feng saw spacious and bright streets appear before his eyes. The spacious streets were bustling with people coming and going. Moreover, there were also a large number of sunlight trees planted there. Black magic sports cars could be seen speeding along the spacious streets. A middle-aged man dressed in a butler's attire arrived before Yang Feng and his entourage and said courteously, "May I ask if you're Rex Darren? I'm His Highness Rain's servant, Maru." Rex was the fake identity Yang Feng had chosen. Simultaneously his appearance had also changed. Under the control of the nanomorph robot, he had turned into a blonde Westerner. Yang Feng said with a slight smile, "That's right, I'm Rex." Maru said with a slight smile, "Please follow me." Yang Feng nodded slightly, followed behind Maru and walked towards the interior of Black Dragon City. Black Dragon City was divided into inner city and outer city. Black Dragon Empire's high-ranking aristocrats and warlocks lived in the inner city. Black Dragon Empire's imperial palace as well as Black Dragon Pagoda's headquarters were located in Black Dragon City's inner city. outer city was where some ordinary aristocrats and citizens resided. Chapter 88. Rex, my dear brother. I'm so happy to be able to see you. Inside a luxurious palace, after Rain saw Xiaofan, he looked as if he had seen feces but had no choice but to swallow it. His face twisted and he welcomed Xiaofan with a strange forthright laugh. After Xiaofan released Rains didn't know how many ways to get rid of the liquid metal nano-robots within his body. But without exception, all of them failed, instead torturing Rains to the point where he almost collapsed. Rains had no choice but to obey Xiaofang's orders, but he still wasn't willing to see Xiaofan. Xiaofan said with a slight smile, Rains, I'm also very happy to be able to see you. I'll be staying here for a long time, so it seems like I'll have to trouble you for a long time. Rains' complexion darkened at once. He wanted to cry but had no tears. Rains turned around with a gloomy expression towards the surrounding servants and shouted loudly, All of you listen to me. Rex is my good brother, my best brother. His words are my words. His orders are my orders. Do you understand? If I find out that you're paying lip service but secretly disobeying his orders, then I'll feed you to my beloved Locke. Yes, master. Rain's manor servants didn't know why their always ungrateful and selfish master would issue such an order, but they all respectfully complied and didn't dare to slight him in the slightest. Locke was a venomous wyvern, a flying extraordinary life form with the battle prowess of a level 1 warlock. Those servants didn't want to be eaten alive by such a terrifying extraordinary life form. I wanted you to help me find Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix. Did you find it? After dismissing all the servants, Xiaofan held Eunice and Judy in his arms, sat on a white fox sofa and said, Shue's talent was extraordinary. She had already cultivated to the pinnacle level, 1 warlock realm. But without the following secret method, she was unable to break through and promote to a level 2 warlock. Of course, Xiaofan could also let Shue specialize in other secret methods to break through the barrier of a level 2 warlock. But Shue still liked Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix. She hoped to use this secret method as a foundation to promote to a level 2 warlock. Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix. This secret method belongs to a high-grade secret method. I've seen the level 1 warlock part. But the level 2 and above secret method, as far as I know, is in the hands of the level 3 warlock Ice Blue Young Maiden and Snow Pagoda's great warlock Snow White Madam. This is the Snow White Pagoda's strongest secret technique. Its status is equivalent to our Black Dragon Pagoda's Black Dragon transformation. The level 1 warlock part is fine, but once someone uses the Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix method to cultivate to the level 2 warlock rank, then they will be chased by Snow White Pagoda. The Ice Blue Maiden was also chased by the Snow White Tower's warlocks. She had no choice but to seek shelter from Savage Claw to survive. Why don't you change to another secret technique? Rains glanced at Judy and Xiaofang's embrace and the flirtatious Eunice. His eyes flashed with a whiff of jealousy and envy as he cautiously said, Snow White Pagoda? Xiaofan tapped lightly with his index finger, pondering whether or not to mobilize the Mechanical Legion to directly raise Snow White Pagoda. After weighing it again and again, Xiaofan still gave up on this tempting idea. Although the Mechanical Black Dragon possessed terrifying battle prowess comparable to that of a great warlock rank powerhouse, but warlocks could basically display terrifying battle prowess of a level higher than their own. Unless Snow White Madam could be lured out and killed, then with Xiaofang's Mechanical Legion attacking Snow White Pagoda, even if he won, it would be a Pyrrhic victory. Once other forces seized the opportunity to attack Steel City, then Xiaofan might not even have the time to digest the fruits of his victory before he would be forced to flee to Randit subcontinent. Xiaofan said, I want the Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix method secret method. Do you have the means? Rain said, 3 days later, there will be a large-scale auction in Black Dragon City. There will be many treasures for sale. There's also the high-grade Western Extreme Cold Ice Phoenix method. The secret method in the auction can be practiced all the way until the Great Warlock rank. There will definitely be many people competing for it. The magic stones in my hands won't be able to compete with them. The secret method that could be practiced until the Great Warlock rank was incomparably precious. Even if only a certain group of people could successfully practice it, it would still cause countless big shots to compete over it. Although Rains was doted on by Black Dragon Pagoda's Master Anthony, but the wealth in his hands couldn't compare with those old freaks that had lived for hundreds of years. Will these elixirs be enough? Xiaofan waved his hand. Chests of elixirs flew out from the dimensional crest. Blue Mirage Elixir. So many? Rains picked up a vial of elixir, opened it and sniffed it. His complexion immediately changed greatly. He looked at the chests of blue mirage elixir. He simply didn't dare to believe his eyes. His voice trembled somewhat. There were 100 vials of blue mirage elixir in that chest. Each blue mirage elixir was worth at least 5,000 magic stones. A chest of blue mirage elixir was worth at least 500,000 magic stones. But here, there were 100 chests of blue mirage elixir that were worth at least 50 million magic stones. Rain's entire assets might not be sold for 50 million magic stones. Yang Feng said faintly, "There's also dragon blood elixir and mermaid tears elixir, 100 chests of each." Dragon blood elixir and mermaid tears elixir, 100 chests of each. Rains inhaled a mouthful of cold air when he heard that. His eyes brimming with incredulity as he looked at Yang Feng. Dragon blood elixir and mermaid tears elixir. Such elixirs were also very precious in Black Dragon Pagoda. With Rain's status, he could only get one dragon blood elixir every month. Mermaid tears elixir was even more priceless. He could only buy them from Black Dragon Pagoda's warlock pharmacists. Moreover, there was a limit. He couldn't buy more than 3 a year. Such precious elixirs were generally calculated by vials. Each dragon blood elixir and mermaid tears elixir could become the finale treasures of some small-scale auctions. Now, Yang Feng actually took out 100 chests at once, making the experienced and knowledgeable Rains endlessly shocked. The corners of Yang Feng's mouth rose slightly as he said with a light smile, "After selling these elixirs, I can give you 10% of the selling price. Use these magic stones to arm yourself. Then seize the throne of Black Dragon Empire." Rains was not only Anthony's most beloved son, but also the 9th successor of Black Dragon Empire. In theory, he had the opportunity to inherit Black Dragon Empire. The highest authority in Black Dragon Empire was in the hands of Black Dragon Pagoda's Pagoda Master. However, Black Dragon Pagoda's Pagoda Masters were basically great warlock rank experts. They were immersed in the pursuit of power and knowledge. They had very little interest in secular power. If Black Dragon Pagoda's Pagoda Master didn't come out, then the highest authority in Black Dragon Empire would be in the hands of Black Dragon Empire's Emperor. Once Rains became Black Dragon Empire's Emperor, then Yang Feng would be like a fish in water in Black Dragon Empire, obtaining endless benefits. Chapter 89. Flames of ambition flashed in Rain's eyes, and he said excitedly, "Good. Originally, I didn't have any hope of inheriting the throne of the Black Dragon Empire. However, since Master supports me, I will fight it out with them." Rains asked, "By the way, Master, how much of these 3 potions can you give me every month?" "Every month I could give as much as I do now." Rain's eyes lit up at first, then he smiled bitterly and said, "If so many drugs are released at once, it will directly crash the entire market. If I want to maintain the current price and obtain the highest profit, with the channels in my hands, I can only process this amount twice a year." Dragon blood elixir was extremely precious, but it was only effective for level 1 and level 2 warlocks. Level 1 and level 2 warlocks would at most buy 1 or 2 bottles to use when breaking through a bottleneck. Blue Mirage and Mermaid Tears, these elixirs capable of improving a person's soul aptitude. Only some second-generation warlocks or warlock geniuses could afford to use them. Yang Feng said with a smile, "The means of payment can be more flexible. Mines, gold, grain, land, scrap iron, scrap steel, all kinds of ores are fine." The transactions between warlocks were mainly in the form of magic stones. Ordinary warlocks didn't care much for things like mines, gold, foodstuffs and territories. Rains revealed a trace of a smile and said, "If that's the case, I can digest this amount 4 times a year." Eunice's eyes reddened as she hugged Yang Feng's arm. She exhaled a fragrant breath and said coquettishly, "I also have some channels in the Southern States Alliance. Can you give me a share?" Eunice was a very smart woman. She also had connections in the Southern States Alliance. He knew many big potion merchants who sold potions. The Blue Mirage Potion, Mermaid Tears Potion, and Dragon Blood Potion were all highly marketable potions. As long as one could get their hands on them, they could be sold very quickly. Yang Feng somewhat dotingly patted Eunice's butt and said, "All right. How about once a year? Just like Rains. I'll give you 10% of the selling price as profit." Eunice kissed Yang Feng's cheek and said sweetly, "Thank you." Judy also hesitantly tugged at Yang Feng's clothes and raised her head to look at him pitifully. Judy had already been properly educated by Xiaofan to the point that her mind had already turned into a pet. Although she had already promoted to a level 1 warlock, but she didn't dare to compete with Eunice and Xiaofan for favor. However, she also wanted to sell some potions and save up some money. Yang Feng pinched Judy's elastic flesh and said with a light smile, "Rest assured, you'll also get a share. Master is the best. I like you the most, woof." Judy threw herself into Yang Feng's embrace, kissed him enthusiastically and barked like a puppy. Xiaofan was like an aloof succubus queen looking at this scene with a smile. This was the result of her good education. Rains glanced at him enviously. After pondering for a while he asked, "Master, do you have the bloodline of the Black Dragon? I can vaguely sense a bloodline resonance from your body." "That's right, I do have the bloodline of the Black Dragon," Rain said. "Then how about you join our Black Dragon Tower? Our Black Dragon Pagoda is a warlock group with Black Dragon's blood meridians as its core. Black Dragon Pagoda's upper echelon are all blood meridian warlocks with Black Dragon's blood meridians. You have the Black Dragon's blood meridians and you're also an official level 1 warlock. As long as you join our Black Dragon Pagoda, then you can become a Viscount and have a Viscountcy as your territory." Join Black Dragon Pagoda? Yang Feng was slightly distracted. He pondered for a moment, then the corners of his mouth rose slightly and he said, "All right. I'll join Black Dragon Pagoda." A Viscountcy had a radius of approximately 500 li. At present, Steel City's sphere of influence was merely a little more than 5,000 square kilometers. A Viscountcy was equivalent to expanding Yang Feng's sphere of influence by more than 10%. Regarding this, Yang Feng was naturally very happy. Although Yang Feng joined Warlock College Antalya to study, but he didn't have any sense of identity with Warlock College Antalya. Joining Black Dragon Pagoda also didn't have any psychological barriers. Moreover, if he was chased by Starlight Aldrich to the point that he couldn't survive, then with a Viscountcy in Black Dragon Empire, Yang Feng could quickly stage a comeback. A crafty rabbit has 3 burrows. This was the principle. Rain smiled as he clapped his hands. 2 very beautiful and sexy maids came in. "Then tomorrow I'll take you to undergo a blood meridian test. Today, you can have a good rest." Yang Feng gave a slight smile, then got up and followed behind the 2 maids. The next morning, after eating a sumptuous breakfast, Rains took Yang Feng to a luxurious palace next to Black Dragon Empire's Imperial Palace. A handsome young man came up to greet them. He first greeted Rains, then curiously looked at Yang Feng and said, "Your Highness Rains, good morning." "Who's this?" Rains said, "This is Rex, a good friend I met during my travels, a possessor of Black Dragon's blood meridians. Under my persuasion, he agreed to join our Black Dragon Empire and become a part of our Black Dragon Empire. Dachman, come and examine his blood meridians." "Yes, Your Highness." Dachman took out a special syringe, at once pricked Yang Feng's right hand, extracted approximately 10 milliliters of blood, then dripped it on a crystal plate engraved with mysterious runes. A drop of Yang Feng's blood fell on the crystal plate, and a lifelike black dragon phantom rose from the crystal plate. A frightening dragon might diffused, and the black dragon faced upwards and issued a tremendous dragon roar. What a strong dragon might! This is a high-level concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. No, it's a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. It's actually a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. This is the first person after Pagoda Master to possess a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. In the end, who is it, to actually possess a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians? Inside the hole, everyone was alarmed. Powerful mental energy swept over in this direction. A top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. Rex, you possess a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. Dachman's eyes were brimming with shock, then brimming with enthusiasm. He said in an extremely explicit manner, "Rex, my 2 little granddaughters are 17 and 15 years old respectively. They're very beautiful. Tomorrow evening, you can come to our house as a guest. I think that you'll definitely have a wonderful night." Apart from secret methods, the most important thing for blood meridian warlocks was the concentration of blood meridians. Yang Feng, a blood meridian warlock with a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians, was definitely the stud horse that the entire Black Dragon blood meridian warlock clan yearned for even in their dreams. Chapter 90. Rains took a step forward and said somewhat discontentedly, "All right. Dachman, quickly go handle the formalities. Right, help Rex choose a good fief." Dachman said with a slight smile, "Yes, Your Highness." After 3 days, wait for His Majesty's confirmation, then all the formalities can be handled. As for the fief, I'll do my best to choose a good one for Rex. "Hey, handsome, my name is Lisa. Can you invite me for a drink? I know a bar, the alcohol inside is pretty good." Yang Feng and Rains had just finished handling the formalities, when a great beauty with long blue hair, a sexy and well-developed figure, a height of 1.78 meters, and a mature style from head to toe, immediately walked towards Yang Feng with a touch of a fragrant wind and a smile. "Lisa, get out of my way. This handsome guy is a man that I fancy. If you don't want to be beaten up by me, then get lost." A beautiful woman with short blue hair and wearing tight black clothes walked over and gave off a domineering aura. She had a tall and sexy figure, and she had regular facial features. When Lisa saw that gorgeous woman dressed in black tights, the radiance in her eyes changed several times. She finally clenched her teeth and retreated to one side, while casting pitiful glances at Yang Feng. Once that sexy and gorgeous woman appeared domineeringly, the few level 1 warlock beauties could only stop and cast flirtatious glances at Yang Feng. Lisa is a level 1 warlock from Black Dragon Lizard Blood Meridian family. Black dragon lizards are only a subspecies born from the mating of black dragons and black dragon lizards. Adult black dragon lizards are only level 3 warlocks. Black dragon lizard clans people will never be able to promote to great warlocks, nor will they ever be able to surpass the experts of our black dragon's blood meridians. Therefore they're vassals of our black dragon's blood meridian warlocks. That's Randall. She's also a level 1 warlock with black dragon's blood meridians, one of the strongest women of the younger generation. When Rain spoke of Lisa, he was somewhat unconcerned, but when he spoke of Randall, there was a trace of graveness. Randall arrived before Yang Feng, carefully sizing him up, just like a pervert carefully observing whether a woman was a beauty or not. Before Yang Feng transmigrated, he was just an ordinary earthling waste. But after being implanted with the ancient black dragon Vedarnia's blood meridians and promoted to a level 1 warlock, his temperament and appearance underwent earth-shaking changes. Even before his transformation, he was already a rather handsome man. After he used the nano-transformation robot to transform into Lake, he was also a handsome Western man with an extraordinary temperament. After Randall carefully sized up Yang Feng, the corners of her mouth rose slightly and she invited enthusiastically, "Hey, handsome, I'm called Randall. I've taken a fancy to you. Come on, let's go for a drink, my treat." Warlocks with black dragon's blood meridians were basically all handsome men and beautiful women. If a beauty like Randall was placed on Earth, she would definitely be a campus belle. Such a sexy beauty taking the initiative to strike up a conversation with Yang Feng gave birth to a very novel feeling in his heart. He readily agreed to her request. "All right. My name is Drake." Rains coughed lightly and said, "Sigh, Randall, tonight there will be a celebration party to celebrate the addition of our Black Dragon Blood Meridian Warlock. We still have to make some preparations, so you can chat again tonight." Randall cursed in a low voice, then said with a charming smile towards Yang Feng, "Such a hateful convention. Handsome. See you tonight." Rains pulled Yang Feng and quickly left the palace. After leaving the palace, Rains said, "Randall, that woman is pretty good looking, but her private life is somewhat rotten. She keeps more than 20 noodles. If you don't mind, she's actually a pretty good playmate." Yang Feng shrugged his shoulders and said, "Listening to you, I basically have no interest in her." With Yang Feng's current status, what woman couldn't he get? Solely in terms of temperament and beauty, Eunice and Shui flung Randall by God knows how many streets. Even Judy only slightly lacked the charm of a mature woman compared to Randall. Rain said with a lascivious smile, "However, you don't have to be disappointed. With the density of your blood meridians, tonight there will be countless beauties courting you, desiring to obtain your life seeds." Yang Feng looked somewhat oddly at Rains and said, "Haven't you experienced such a thing?" Rain said extremely proudly, "Of course, although the density of my blood meridians isn't as good as yours, but it's still an intermediate grade blood meridians. Those black dragon lizards, black dragon serpents and wyvern falcons, those women from vassal families, which one of them doesn't desire to obtain my life seeds? Once we have children, Even if they don't have the noble black dragon's blood meridians, they can still increase the density of those inferior blood meridian families' blood meridians. With Rain's narration, only then did Yang Feng begin to understand the importance of the density of blood meridians for those blood meridian warlock families. 4 blood meridian warlocks with an intermediate grade concentration of black dragon's blood meridians like Rain's. Promoting to a level 2 warlock was a matter of course. Only when promoting to a level 3 warlock would they encounter a bit of difficulty. If it was a blood meridian warlock with a superior concentration of black dragon's blood meridians, then promoting to a level 3 warlock would only be a matter of time. Only when promoting to a great warlock would they encounter a huge difficulty. Blood meridian warlocks with a concentration of top-notch black dragon's blood meridians wouldn't have any difficulty promoting to a level 3 warlock. Moreover, great warlocks would have more than a 30% chance. If it was a blood meridian warlock with a low concentration of black dragon's blood meridians, then they could only be guaranteed to promote to a level 1 warlock. Then they would encounter an advancement bottleneck when attacking a level 2 warlock. As for blood meridian warlocks with a concentration of low-grade black dragon blood meridians and below, it would be very difficult for them to promote to an official warlock. Their success rate was only about 30% higher than that of an ordinary warlock. The higher the concentration of the blood meridians of the blood meridian warlocks, the higher the concentration of the blood meridians of their children. A blood meridian warlock with a first-rate concentration of black dragon's blood meridians would at least give birth to a blood meridian warlock with an intermediate concentration of black dragon's blood meridians. And it was even possible to give birth to a blood meridian warlock with a superior concentration of black dragon's blood meridians. The offspring of a warlock with black dragon's blood meridian and a black dragon lizard or a black dragon snake, which were inextricably linked to black dragons, might give birth to a noble black dragon blood meridian warlock. Even if it wasn't a black dragon blood meridian warlock, but the offspring would definitely be a blood meridian warlock with a relatively high concentration of blood meridians. The power of blood meridians was the origin power of a blood meridian warlock, as well as the foundation of a blood meridian warlock's inheritance. In order to maintain the power of blood meridians, many blood meridian warlock families intermarried very frequently. Even so, the blood meridians of those blood meridian warlocks still continued to become thinner with each passing generation. In order to obtain a formidable blood meridians, those blood meridian warlock families would spare no expense. One of the very important reasons why blood meridian warlock families such as black dragon lizard, black dragon snake and wyvern harpy would attach themselves to the black dragon empire was to obtain the life seeds of black dragon blood meridian warlocks, so as to ensure that those blood meridian warlock families wouldn't be eliminated from the world of warlocks due to the thinning of their blood meridians. Chapter 91. Nighttime. Inside a luxurious palace. Yang Feng, dressed in formal attire, stepped into the palace and saw countless handsome men and beautiful women standing inside the palace. Practically all of those handsome men and beautiful women were shrouded in formidable life force. Most of them were formidable level 1 warlocks. Even the slightly weaker ones were level 3 apprentice warlocks or level 2 apprentice warlocks. Once Yang Feng entered the palace, the eyes of many beautiful women lit up and they walked towards him one after another. "Hello, Rex. My name is Aisha. Can I have a dance with you?" A beautiful girl of about 18 or 19 years of age, with long brown hair, a sexy figure, dressed in a black evening dress, exuding a seductive charm, walked up to Yang Feng, smiled sweetly, and extended her lily-white hand, a fragrance wafting from her. "Hello, Rex. My name is Anna. Please have a dance with me, okay?" A blonde beauty with a head full of long blonde hair, a sexy figure, dressed in a silver evening dress, a child's complexion and big breasts, arrived before Yang Feng with a sweet and pure smile on her face and extended her lily-white hand. "Hello, Rex." Inside the palace, the beautiful women practically scrambled to be the first to crowd around Yang Feng, competing with each other's attractiveness. Undercurrents surged as they fought over the right to invite Yang Feng for a dance. Yang Feng looked at the scene before him with a smile, his heart brimming with excitement, feelings of novelty. The beautiful women surrounding Yang Feng were basically from black dragon lizards, black dragon serpents and other blood meridian warlock families affiliated with black dragon blood meridian families. Each of them had a gorgeous appearance and incomparably powerful strength. If it was on Earth, then they would be elites among elites. They absolutely wouldn't give an ordinary person like Yang Feng a glance. But now, they were scrambling to curry favor with him, thirsting to obtain his favor. This kind of feeling greatly satisfied the vanity of an ordinary person like Yang Feng. A great beauty with a head full of long scarlet hair, a height of 1.9 meters, a tall figure, curvaceous chest and butt, skin as white as jade, exuding a terrifying life force, a proud expression on her face, as if an aloof queen, directly stepped into the palace. As soon as the great beauty stepped into the palace, her terrifying life force attracted countless gazes. After seeing her true appearance, those gazes were filled with fear, and lust. The beautiful woman with long scarlet hair swept the beautiful women around Xiaofan with a glance, creased her eyebrows and barked full of dignity. "You little fellows, get lost!" When the beautiful women surrounding Xiaofan turned around and saw the great beauty with long scarlet hair, they bowed towards her as if avoiding snakes and scorpions, before unwillingly retreating to the side. The beautiful woman with long scarlet hair walked up to Xiaofan with a touch of fragrance, carefully sized him up for a moment, then revealed a trace of a satisfied and aloof smile. She frivolously extended her hand and hooked Xiaofang's chin. "Not bad, it's indeed a top-notch concentration of Black Dragon's blood meridians. Rex, from today onwards, you are my, Anusha's man." Xiaofan suddenly had a feeling of reversing the roles of man and woman. He instinctively extended his hand and directly hid away Anusha's lily-white hand. Although he liked beautiful women, but deep in his bones was a strong male chauvinism. He wasn't willing to become a woman's plaything, no matter how beautiful she was. "Interesting little fellow. You actually dare to resist me, so interesting." Anusha gave a sweet smile. Her body at once released an extremely terrifying life force, that terrifying pressure comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock instantly erupted and enveloped Xiaofang's body. Under that terrifying pressure of a pinnacle level 3 warlock, Xiaofang's complexion changed greatly. He frantically operated the secret method recorded within Black Dragon Morph. Withstanding Anusha's terrifying pressure with extreme difficulty, he clenched his teeth and tenaciously stood. "Enough, stop Anusha, he's still not yours." At this moment, an ice-cold voice came from the side, a peerless beauty with a head full of long blue hair, eyes as clear as sapphires, a fiery and sensual figure, yet her entire body was shrouded in the temperament of an iceberg beauty. She walked over with large strides. An extremely formidable life force emitted from the peerless beauty's body, counteracting Anusha's terrifying pressure, giving Xiaofan a chance to catch his breath. Anusha turned around and said with a sneer, "Carol, do you want to snatch this man from me? You've always been blunt towards men, yet you've also started to have your heart stirred? Or perhaps, for the sake of Bonia family, you need a handsome and strong stallion with a high concentration of blood meridians?" Carol's beautiful eyes flashed with a whiff of anger. She said coldly, "Shut up. Otherwise, I wouldn't mind inviting you to the deathmatch arena to have a life and death duel." The deathmatch arena was a place specially prepared by Black Dragon Empire for the warlocks within the empire to have a life and death duel. Once irreconcilable enmity was sown between Black Dragon Empire's warlocks, then they would choose to have a duel in the deathmatch arena. If a duel was discovered in other places, then they would be strongly hunted down by Black Dragon Pagoda. That was because the destructive power of a duel between formidable warlocks was too terrifying. If those warlocks were allowed to duel carelessly, then no matter how many mortals there were, it wouldn't be enough for them to kill. Anusha said with a merry smile, "I hit the nail on the head. Carol, you're living too tirelessly. Live more for yourself. I'm very fond of this handsome little stallion, but I'm not willing to have a life and death duel with you. As long as you're willing to pay a sufficient price, then I'll let you have him. This world is so big, there's no lack of handsome men. I'm not short of one. However, at the very least, you have to let him help me conceive a few children. This is my bottom line. Are you going to divide this handsome little stallion just like that? How about giving me a share? I'm not asking for much. As long as he lets me conceive 8 to 10 children, that's enough." A beautiful woman dressed in a purple evening dress, with a tall figure, short golden hair, a gorgeous appearance, and exuding a heroic temperament all over, also walked over with a merry smile, exuding a terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock. The terrifying life force released by the 3 pinnacle level 3 warlock women surged in the venue. Everyone's complexion changed slightly and they quickly left the 3 women's sides. At the center of the terrifying life force, a wine cup suddenly came alive. It twisted and grew countless teeth, before strangely shattering. A tablecloth also suddenly twisted and grew 2 arms, before being crushed by the formidable force field. All kinds of strange phenomena continuously emerged, before being crushed by the terrifying life force of the 3 level 3 warlocks. Chapter 92. Anusha suddenly gave a slight smile and instigated. Angelica, Carol wants to monopolize this handsome little stallion. It would be better for us to join hands to defeat her and teach her a lesson. Then, how about equally dividing the usage rights of this little stallion? Let me use him first. Then when you want to have children, I'll lend him to you. In any case, you don't want to have children right now. The corners of Angelica's mouth rose slightly and she said with a smile. Good idea. Carol, what do you think? If you want to monopolize this little stallion, then I can only join hands with Anusha. After all, a little stallion with such a high concentration of blood meridians is rarely seen in 100 years. My requirements aren't high. When I want to have children, then let me use him. Yang Feng quietly listened from the side. He was somewhat speechless. Carol, Anusha and Angelica, the three women, each of them were very outstanding and had a strong aura. Even in Tarandit subcontinent where experts were as common as clouds, they were still second only to great warlocks. Their statuses were incomparably noble. Yang Feng would have been very happy with the three outstanding women fighting over him. But if he was only treated as a stallion, then even if they were beautiful women, he still wouldn't want to serve them. Yang Feng coughed lightly and said faintly, Cough, you're discussing my usage rights in private. Could it be that you don't want to ask the master's wishes? Anusha swept Yang Feng with a glance. Her beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of ridicule. Your wishes? Little stallion, only after you promote to a level 3 warlock, then you'll have the qualifications to talk with us on equal footing. Of course, if you can promote to a great warlock, then having me be your slave isn't a problem. Even with top-notch Black Dragon's blood meridians, promoting to a great warlock still wasn't that simple. Promoting from a level 3 warlock to a great warlock, that was an enormous transformation and evolution of a life form. The disparity between a level 3 warlock and a great warlock was as huge as the disparity between a level 3 apprentice warlock and a level 2 warlock. In the entire Black Dragon Pagoda, there were merely 7 great warlocks. The 7 great warlocks were the foundation that Black Dragon Pagoda had accumulated over thousands of years. In that long period of time, Black Dragon Pagoda had produced more than 100 geniuses with top-notch Black Dragon's blood meridians. Of the 100 geniuses with top-notch Black Dragon's blood meridians, 8 died before maturing, 90 promoted to level 3 warlocks, and only 2 promoted to great warlocks. The difficulty of promoting to a great warlock could be imagined. Anusha and the other 2 women obviously only fancied the blood meridians within Yang Feng's body. They didn't have the slightest feelings towards Yang Feng, let alone love at first sight, only thinking about benefits. I think I still have the right to speak with you on equal terms. Yang Feng smiled faintly. With a thought, a black ray flew out of the dimensional crest he wore and landed on the ground. A 1.7 tall mechanical dragon-scaled warrior, covered in a layer of ancient dragon scales, with sharp blades growing at all the major joints, appearing like a humanoid dragon, appeared beside Yang Feng. The mechanical dragon-scaled warrior's miniature super-high-energy crystal propulsion furnace was fully launched, a very strange yet terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock diffused from its body, contending against Anusha and the other 2 women, not falling into a disadvantageous position, firmly guarding Yang Feng. Anusha and the other 2 women looked at the mechanical dragon-scaled warrior. Their beautiful eyes flashed with a touch of graveness. Under the protection of the level 3 protective cover, even a level 3 spell wouldn't so easily affect Yang Feng. It would also be very difficult for curses and charm-type spells to pass through the level 3 protective cover and affect Yang Feng. Stop, Rex! Anusha's pretty complexion changed. She issued a shriek, pointed with her finger and in a flash cast the level 3 spell Dragon Flame Fireball. A wash-basin-sized Dragon Flame Fireball compressed with high-energy fire elemental particles immediately whistled towards a dragon-scaled warrior, directly bombarding it. Dragon Flame Fireball, this level 3 spell, was one of the few spells with the strongest destructive power among level 3 spells. Even if a level 3 warlock was hit by it, they would also suffer heavy injuries. Such a level 3 spell could destroy a huge building. That dragon-scaled warrior extended its claw, its right hand erupted with a formidable life force, directly crushing the level 3 Dragon Flame Fireball. The terrifying explosion merely jolted it back by 3 or 4 steps. Carol and Angelica, the 2 women, stood on one side, casting spells and directly blocking the aftermath of the level 3 Dragon Flame Fireball's explosion. They saw the dragon-scaled warrior crush the dragon flame fireball with its claw. Their beautiful eyes also flashed with a touch of graveness. Level 3 Dragon Flame Fireball. Even if they were strong, they still wouldn't dare to use their bodies to resist. They could only use level 3 spells to offset or defend. Chapter 93. Another dragon-scaled mechanical warrior directly flew over to Anusha's back, ferociously pierced through Anusha's protective force field, kicked her body, and directly blasted her to the ground, spurting out a mouthful of blood. "Fuck you golems, you've angered me!" Anusha's figure shook and she at once flew up. Her eyes surged with a terrifying fury and an incomparably formidable life force was released from her body. Once the terrifying life force of a pinnacle level 3 warlock was fully released. Apart from official warlocks, everyone in the reception hall felt a burst of pressure and even a feeling of suffocation. Carol creased her eyebrows and said coldly, "Enough! Anusha, if you continue to be so impudent, I'll make my move." Angelica gave a slight smile and also walked over. "Anusha, don't make a fuss. Otherwise, I can only make my move against you." Yang Feng waved his hand and the 2 dragon-scaled mechanical warriors also swept over and returned in front of him, coldly staring at Anusha. Streams of powerful level 3 warlock rank spirit force swept over and locked onto Anusha. The advancement of Blood Meridian warlocks was by far much easier than that of Orthodox warlocks. The number of level 3 warlocks in Black Dragon Empire could be said to be the highest among the 6 great forces. Anusha's complexion changed several times. She finally restrained her aura and casually flicked her hand. A radiance shrouded her body. After the radiance disappeared, she changed into an evening dress and said with a merry smile, "Rex, little brother, all right, I admit that you have the qualifications to speak with us as equals." Anusha's eyes turned and locked onto that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior. Her eyes flashed with a scorching glint. "That's right, I really like that alchemical golem of yours. How about selling one to your elder sister?" Anusha had personally experienced the might of that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior. If it was a one-on-one, she had the confidence to tear that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior to shreds. But if it was a one-on-two, then the outcome would be hard to predict. Such a formidable mechanical golem made her salivate. Carol, Angelica as well as all the members in the reception hall, their gazes fell on that dragon-scaled mechanical warrior, their eyes brimming with envy and greed. Such a dragon-scaled mechanical warrior could serve as the foundation of a warlock family. It could be passed down for hundreds or even thousands of years. Even a level 3 warlock with such a dragon-scaled mechanical warrior could greatly enhance their battle prowess and survivability. "I'm not selling this alchemical golem." Yang Feng shook his head slightly. The dragon-scaled mech warrior was a special biomechanical combat unit created from the scales of the ancient black dragon Vedania. After manufacturing the mechanical black dragon, Yang Feng only had 5 of them. Naturally, he would not easily attack such a powerful combat unit. The radiance in Anusha's eyes dimmed slightly, then she stared at Yang Feng. A touch of a dangerous radiance flashed past the abyss of her eyes. Yang Feng's eyes flashed with a peculiar glint, and he said with a smile, "However, I can bet on it. Doesn't our Black Dragon Empire have a followers' gambling arena? If you, Anusha, can take out an item of equal value, we can carry out a gambling fight between 20 followers. This alchemy puppet was worth 50 million magic stones. You can use gold, ores, second and third tier spell matrices, scrolls, puppets, and other items of equal value to bet with me. If you win, this puppet will be yours." "All right." Anusha pondered for a moment, then gave a sweet smile. She flipped her lily-white hand and a delicate crystal box appeared in her lily-white hand. The crystal box automatically opened, revealing a magic core engraved with mysterious magic patterns, approximately the size of an egg. Anusha said with a sweet smile, "A magic core comparable to a great warlock rank extraordinary life form Sphinx direwolf with battle prowess, plus 15 iron ore veins with reserves of at least 30,000 tons, a barondom, this should be enough, right?" The magic cores of great warlock rank extraordinary life forms were extremely valuable, but their value couldn't compare to that of a level 3 battle golem. After all, in Tyrannid subcontinent, there were still a lot of great warlock rank extraordinary life forms. Moreover, every year, there would be some magic cores of extraordinary life forms flowing over from the main continent. But that level 3 warlock rank battle golem was different. It had formidable battle prowess. It could become the heritage of a warlock family. It could also become the trump card of a level 3 warlock. Apart from some formidable warlock alchemists, there was basically no one capable of refining level 3 warlock rank battle golems. In Tyrandot's subcontinent, Grandmaster alchemists with the highest level of alchemy could only refine level 2 warlock rank battle golems. Great warlocks could actually refine level 3 warlock rank avatars, but to refine those level 3 warlock rank battle golems, they would need to spend at least 70 million magic stones, or even more. Yang Feng said with a smile, "It's enough." Although the value of the items offered by Anusha couldn't compare to Yang Feng's dragon-scaled mechanical warrior, but Yang Feng was very interested in that Sphinx direwolf's magic core. Only then did he not haggle over the price difference. A handsome young man with a head full of short golden hair, a tall and sturdy figure, an elegant bearing, and an overbearing aura exuding from between his eyebrows smiled as he walked up to Yang Feng's side. "Rex, I'm also very interested in your other alchemical golem. Let me join this wager." Rains cast a secret method and directly transmitted his voice. "This is my second brother Johann. He has the cultivation base of a pinnacle level 2 warlock. He's also one of my greatest opponents in becoming the Emperor of Black Dragon Empire. You have to be careful." Yang Feng said with a slight smile. "As long as you can come up with enough magic stones, then there won't be any problems." Johann said with a slight smile. "I think that a marquisdom passed down from generation to generation with a population of 5 million people should be worth no less than 50 million magic stones." A marquisdom's territory was basically the size of 3 earldoms. It covered an area of approximately 1,500 square kilometers. It was equivalent to 3/10 of Steel City's area. Moreover, a marquisdom had a population of 5 million people. It was definitely an extremely wealthy marquisdom. If one was good at management, then every year the lord would be able to obtain more than 10,000 magic stones in various supplies from the territory. The reason why Steel City could only obtain 3,000 magic stones per year was because all of the ore veins in its territory had been completely digested by Steel City. Moreover, Yang Feng didn't carry out any operations within his sphere of influence. The 3,000 magic stones were merely the taxes obtained from taxes. Of course, the reason why the income was so low was also because the population within Steel City's sphere of influence had fled in large numbers, and the surrounding forces had imposed an economic blockade on it. Within their fiefs, aristocrats were equivalent to local tyrants, dictating the fates of 5 million people within their fiefs. Moreover, all of the ore veins within the fiefs belonged to the lord. Therefore, the value of the marquisdom that Johann took out for the wager was definitely not less than 50 million magic stones. Chapter 94. Yang Feng said with a smile. "Indeed, a marquisdom that can be passed down from generation to generation is worth no less than 50 million magic stones." Johann said towards Rains with a smile. "Rains, my dear younger brother. How about we also take this opportunity to make a bet?" Rain's eyebrows creased slightly, revealing a trace of awkwardness. Anusha's family, the Benivia family, was a warlock noble family of Black Dragon Empire, with a heritage of more than 2,000 years. Although Anusha looked like a 25 or 26-year-old beautiful woman, but in fact, her age was already more than 500 years old. Although she was unable to break through and promote to a great warlock, but her strength was very few among level 3 warlocks. Her family's influence was even more formidable. The number of followers was in the thousands. There were even level 3 warlocks who were her subjects. Anusha, Carol and Angelica. These 3 women were the most outstanding geniuses of Black Dragon Empire's younger generation. If it wasn't for Black Dragon Empire's imperial throne being controlled by Anthony, then they would definitely be the most powerful contenders for the imperial throne. In the battle between Anusha and Yang Feng's followers, no matter how one looked at it, Yang Feng had no chance of winning. Yang Feng transmitted his voice. "Agree. Use the elixirs I'll give you to make a bet. Win or lose, it's all on me. If you lose, then I'll give you another batch of the same elixirs." Rains gave a slight smile, provoking Johann. "Johann, I'll make a bet with you. I'll use 10,000 blue mirage, 10,000 mermaid tears and 10,000 dragon blood to make a bet with you. My dear elder brother, can you come up with that much money? Of course, as your younger brother, I can make some small concessions. You can use magic stones, gold coins, iron or veins, food, rare magic metals and warlock knowledge as payment." Johann's pupils constricted slightly, the smile on his face also faded slightly, his eyebrows creased. He pondered for a moment and then said with a light smile, "My dear younger brother, it seems like you've cultivated a group of pharmacists with good abilities. All right, I'll make a bet with you. If the payment isn't limited to magic stones, then I can still come up with that bit of money." Johann, as one of the successors to the Black Dragon Empire's imperial throne, not only did he possess great wealth, his mother's clan also possessed great influence. Furthermore, there was also a large group of warlock clans within Black Dragon Empire that attached themselves to him. That huge sum, if the means of payment weren't limited, then he could still come up with it. Angelica smiled flirtatiously and said, "Interesting, let me join too. Rake, I bet on Anusha. If she wins, you will help me give birth to 10 children. Until I give birth to 10 children, you are my property. If you win, I'll help you give birth to 10 children. How about that?" Yang Feng shrugged his shoulders and said with a smile, "Sorry, this bet is too insincere. I can't accept it." Carol said coldly, "Angelica, I'll bet with you. I'm betting on Rex. If I lose, I'll give you my level 1 to level 3 spell models. If I win, you'll have to give me all the spell models you've mastered." Spell models were very valuable. Currently, Warlock College Antalia's highest-ranked spell model was also a level 1 spell model. Even a level 1 spell model would cost 8,000 magic stones. There wasn't even a single tier 2 spell model. Eunice had more than 10 level 2 spell models in her hands, and not a single level 3 spell model. That was because she still hadn't practiced cultivation until the realm of a level 2 warlock. Her clan naturally wouldn't provide her with level 3 spell models. Reigns also only had level 2 spell models in his hands, and not a single level 3 spell model. A complete level 3 spell model in a warlock's large-scale auction could definitely be auctioned for more than 1 million magic stones. As a Blood Meridian warlock, Yang Feng would obtain an innate spell every time he promoted to a warlock's rank. For example, Black Dragon Scales was an innate spell that he automatically obtained. After he promoted to a level 3 warlock, he would also automatically obtain a level 3 innate spell. But if he relied solely on an innate spell, then his means of dealing with the enemy would be too weak, and he basically wouldn't be able to become the strongest expert of the same rank. The reason why warlocks could become the strongest experts of the same rank was because they had a lot of spells and a lot of means of dealing with the enemy. To deal with different enemies, one would have different trump cards. Carol and Angelica's bet on the level 1 to level 3 spell models that they had grasped was also a huge gamble. Angelica's eyes flashed with a touch of a peculiar murderous aura. She said with a sweet smile, "Carol, since you're so confident in Rex, then I'll bet with you." The 5 people stood in the center of the banquet. A strange atmosphere pervaded the air. The surrounding people basically didn't dare to approach them. "His Majesty Solomon has arrived." Along with a resonant voice, a tall and sturdy handsome young man dressed in a complicated and gorgeous imperial gown, with a formidable aura, under the protection of 4 young guards, directly stepped into the main hall. The young man, who appeared to be only 23 or 24 years old, was extraordinarily handsome and brimming with dignity, was Black Dragon Empire's Emperor Solomon. The lifespan of Blood Meridian warlocks by far exceeded that of Orthodox warlocks. Moreover, Blood Meridian warlocks generally looked relatively young. Black Dragon's Blood Meridians were top-notch Blood Meridians. Therefore, even though Solomon was several hundred years old, he still looked to be only 23 or 24 years old. "We've seen your Majesty." Everyone slightly bowed toward Solomon in salute. In Tyrandot subcontinent, the status of warlocks was extremely high. Even when facing the Emperor, they only needed to slightly bow in salute. Only those who believed in gods or powerful beings from other planes would kneel in salute, grovel in salute and such other manners to express their humbleness. Solomon came over, his eyes as sharp as a blade, sized up Yang Feng and said in a deep voice, "Your Rex." Yang Feng slightly bowed in salute. "We've seen your Majesty." Solomon suddenly said with a smile, "I've just arrived and heard about your wager. Very interesting. Let me be the witness of your wager. 5 days later, I'll open the royal gambling arena for you to wager. You should properly prepare for it. The wager will be a death match between 20 followers below level 3 warlock. How about it?" Yang Feng said with a smile, "No problem." Anusha also said with a sweet smile, "No problem." Level 3 warlocks were extremely important battle prowess and wealth for every force. Therefore, only level 2 warlock rank experts would be allowed to fight in a follower's wager. If it was a small principality like Fernandro Principality, if a level 2 warlock died, then the entire warlock clan sky would practically collapse. Black Dragon Empire was the stronghold of Blood Meridian warlocks. The number of level 2 warlocks far exceeded that of the other 6 great forces. Even if 40 level 2 warlocks died, it still wouldn't affect Black Dragon Empire's vitality. This was the foundation of Tyrannid Subcontinent's #1 empire. Chapter 95. After the banquet was over, a pretty young lady arrived before Yang Feng and said respectfully, "Rex Darren, my master Carol Darren invites you to come over." "All right." Yang Feng pondered for a moment, then followed behind the young lady. In a luxurious and exquisite room, ambergris incense, a precious incense capable of promoting a warlock's spirit force, was lit. Carol was neatly sitting on a sofa. Her pretty face was ice cold, her whole body exuding the aura of an ice queen. Carol said coldly, "Anusha and Johan have a lot of followers. They're very strong. I can lend you 20 level 2 warlock rank followers." Yang Feng asked curiously, "Can you lend each other followers in such a gamble?" Carol said coldly, "As long as we win, any means can be used." The three of them will definitely join hands and pick the 20 strongest level 2 warlocks. With 20 first-rate level 2 warlocks joining hands, they can even contend against level 3 warlocks and even kill them. Yang Feng said with a smile, "I'm very grateful for your good intentions. However, I have the confidence to defeat them." Carol stared at Yang Feng for a moment, then clapped her hands. 10 beautiful maids exuding the formidable fluctuations of power of level 1 warlocks immediately walked in. Each maid was holding a thick stack of books in their hands. Carol said coldly, "These are the experience notes for promoting level 1 warlocks to level 2 warlocks. I'll give them to you. What materials do you need for cultivation? Make a list and give it to me." The experience notes for promoting level 1 warlocks to level 2 warlocks, each one was incomparably precious. Black Cottage also had the experience notes for promoting level 1 warlocks to level 2 warlocks. That note was Black Cottage's Master Bonnie's most precious treasure. Apart from him, none of his students were qualified to read it. Yang Feng felt somewhat odd. Yang Feng asked curiously, "Cough, Carol, could it be that you've fallen in love with me at first sight?" Although Carol's temperament was ice cold, but she was indeed a rare iceberg beauty. Even among the beauties of Black Dragon Blood Meridian warlocks, she was still among the top. In tonight's banquet, there wasn't a single beauty that could compare to her in terms of appearance and temperament. Anusha and Angelica were also somewhat inferior to her. If such an iceberg beauty fell in love with Yang Feng at first sight, then it would greatly satisfy his little vanity. Carol thought for a moment, then seriously attacked Yang Feng. "I just don't hate him." Carol said seriously, "As the head of the Grimt clan, I enjoy the support of the clan's resources. At the same time, I also have to fulfill the duty given to me by my family and give birth to a pure-blooded descendant. This was a duty that every member of a Blood Meridian warlock family had to fulfill. You have a top-grade Black Dragon bloodline, and I don't find you annoying, so you have the right to be my man. You can marry into the Grimt family and become the father of my child. I'm still a virgin, so if you have mysophobia, there's no problem at all." Yang Feng shook his head slightly and said solemnly, "I don't want to marry into the Grimt family. I want you to marry me and become my woman." Carol's eyebrows creased slightly as she said, "Unless you're able to promote to a great warlock, otherwise, there's absolutely no possibility." Yang Feng said firmly, "Then I'll promote to a great warlock." It's not that easy to promote to a great warlock. If promoting from an apprentice warlock to a warlock is to surpass the limits of humans, then it's to take a step in the direction of extraordinary life forms. To promote from a level 3 warlock to a great warlock is to take a step in the direction of gods, ancient fiends, formidable ancient beings and other mighty beings. Great warlock rank experts are known as legend rank experts in many other planes. They're known as legends in many other planes. They're peerless experts who left their names in history. Our Black Dragon Pagoda has several thousand years of inheritance, but as far as I know, there are only 7 great warlock rank experts. Anusha and Angelica have already been stuck in the realm of pinnacle level 3 warlocks for 200 years. As far as I know, there are already more than 400 level 3 warlocks in Black Dragon Pagoda that have been stuck in this realm. Carol analyzed calmly. The warlock's path was getting more and more difficult. Promoting from an apprentice warlock to a warlock was a huge hurdle. And promoting from a level 3 warlock to a great warlock was even more incomparably difficult. It was like a natural moat. Even though Blood Meridian warlocks had greater advantages than Orthodox warlocks, but to promote to a great warlock rank expert was still extremely difficult. Yang Feng said with a slight smile. Even if it's more difficult, I'll also become a great warlock. After all, my goal is to obtain eternal life. Carol sighed faintly. Eternal life. This is the ultimate goal that all of us warlocks pursue. Unfortunately, even if it was the 8 great warlock emperors, such astonishing and unparalleled figures, they still fell in the long river of time. The path to eternal life might not even exist. In the world of warlocks, each and every one of the 8 great warlock emperors were astonishing and unparalleled, formidable existences that suppressed countless planes. But the 8 great warlock emperors also fell in the long river of time. The warlock dynasties that they founded also collapsed one by one. The 8 great warlock emperors were publicly recognized as the most formidable existences in the world of warlocks. They were also the existences that walked the furthest on the warlock path. With their terrifying strength and endless knowledge, they still couldn't resist the erosion of time, and fell in the long river of time. Now that the 8th warlock dynasty had collapsed, the glory of warlocks was no more. Wanting to obtain eternal life was nothing more than a pipe dream. Yang Feng gave a faint smile and didn't refute. Eternal life was only his ultimate goal. He also knew that this path wasn't that easy to tread. Yang Feng said, "These experience notes are very important to me. I hope that I can pay magic stones or equivalent elixirs in exchange for them. At the same time, I also hope that I can use magic stones and equivalent elixirs in exchange for some level 2 spell models and level 3 spell models, as well as all kinds of knowledge that warlocks need to practice cultivation." Carol said, "I can give them to you." Yang Feng said earnestly, "I hope to carry out the transaction through equivalent exchange. Because I don't want to take advantage of my good friend." Carol gave Yang Feng a somewhat strange look and said, "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." Carol snapped her fingers. "Mana!" "Yes." A sexy beauty dressed in maid attire, with long brown hair and the cultivation base of a level 1 warlock, stepped forward and said with a smile, "These are experience notes for level 1 warlocks promoting to level 2 warlocks. The auction price is 200,000 magic stones per copy. There are 100 copies here. The price is 20 million magic stones. A level 2 spell model, 800,000 magic stones. A level 3 spell model, 4 million magic stones." Yang Feng coughed lightly and said somewhat embarrassedly, "Cough, can I buy on credit? I'll pay after the wager. I really don't have that many magic stones now." The corners of Carol's mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a charming smile. Chapter 96. Black Dragon Empire's Imperial Palace. Within a study. Solomon was sitting upright on a golden chair, holding a book in his hand, casually flipping through it. Suddenly, Solomon said lightly, "Jim, have you investigated Rex's identity?" In a corner, the space slightly distorted, a middle-aged man dressed in black tight-fitting clothes, with a somewhat ugly appearance and a gloomy temperament, exuding the terrifying life force of a pinnacle level 3 warlock rank, appeared unhurriedly, before saying respectfully toward Solomon, "Your Majesty, the investigation has been carried out. Rex is a freedman of Black Dragon Empire's Moke City. After obtaining the inheritance of a rogue warlock by a fluke, he settled down in the obscure mountain range. After coming out of the obscure mountain range, he promoted to a level 1 warlock, possessing the Black Dragon's blood meridians." Solomon said indifferently, "Is the information reliable?" Jim said, "Reliable. You may withdraw." "Yes, Your Majesty." Jim's body immediately disintegrated into countless black mists, before disappearing from within the study. Time elapsed. 5 days passed in a blink. Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena was a huge arena that could accommodate 100,000 people. The huge Royal Grand Arena was usually used to carry out real-life and death betting matches. Ferocious beasts captured from all over, as well as some extraordinary life forms comparable to official warlocks, would be thrown into the Royal Grand Arena to fight with humans. The aristocrats of Black Dragon Empire would watch the bloody fights, while carrying out the betting matches. Every year, the huge Royal Colosseum brought the Black Dragon Empire a huge income. This is Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena. So imposing. As soon as Yang Feng entered Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena, he was fiercely shocked by the majestic arena. At this moment, the incomparably majestic arena was already filled with aristocrats belonging to Black Dragon Empire from all over the world. Black Dragon Empire's geographical area was 3 times that of Earth's China. It had gone through several millennia of inheritance. The number of aristocrats in Black Dragon Empire was astonishingly huge. The streets of the imperial capital were filled with aristocrats. A brick could be thrown and one could hit several aristocrats. At one end of the incomparably majestic Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena, there was a suspended dais built. On the suspended dais sat the ministers of Black Dragon Empire's major departments as well as aristocrats with Black Dragon's blood meridians. As an aristocratic warlock with Black Dragon blood meridian, Yang Feng followed the aristocratic warlocks with Black Dragon blood meridian to sit on the most distinguished dais, overlooking the many aristocrats below. Below Yang Feng and the other aristocratic warlocks with Black Dragon's blood meridians, there were aristocratic warlocks with Black Dragon Serpent's blood meridians, Black Dragon Lizard's blood meridians, and other affiliated Black Dragon's blood meridians. Led by a maid, Yang Feng arrived at the suspended dais. At a glance, he saw Carol, Anusha, and Angelica sitting among the 36 seats, second only to the Emperor. In the Black Dragon Empire, apart from the Black Dragon Tower's Tower Master Anthony's bloodline, there were also 36 powerful Black Dragon bloodline clans. Among the 36 Black Dragon blood meridian families, experts were as common as clouds and experts were as common as rain. Among them, level 3 warlocks weren't a small number. And there were even 3 Black Dragon blood meridian families that had once given birth to great warlock rank experts. They were the pillars of the Black Dragon Empire. Below the 36 seats were the seats belonging to the Black Dragon Empire's Grand Princes, Ministers, and Princes. Black Dragon Empire and Warlock College Antalya were different. The ministers of Black Dragon Empire's various departments were all official warlocks. Warlocks firmly controlled everything in the secular world. The entire Black Dragon Empire was under the control of warlocks. Warlock College Antalya's secular world was mostly managed by mortals. Warlocks were aloof, they carried out all kinds of research, sought the truth, and pursued the warlock path. Yang Feng's seat was a notch lower. It belonged to the bottommost part of the suspended dais. After Rains saw Yang Feng, he promptly greeted, "Rex, come sit next to me." An imperial princess originally sitting next to Rains immediately got up, threw Yang Feng a coquettish glance, then went down and sat in Yang Feng's seat. Yang Feng also calmly sat next to Rains. As soon as Yang Feng sat down, he felt a malicious gaze. He turned around and saw that Johann was looking in his direction. On the suspended dais filled with dignitaries and ministers, Johann didn't do anything unwise. He only slightly revealed a gentlemanly smile towards Yang Feng. Yang Feng also responded with a hypocritical smile. His Majesty Solomon has arrived. Under the protection of 6 experts emitting fluctuations of level 3 warlock rank life force, Solomon slowly stepped onto the suspended dais. "Greetings, Your Majesty." Everyone in the Royal Grand Arena stood up and slightly bowed towards Solomon in salute. Solomon gave a slight smile, then went to the golden throne at the top of the suspended dais and sat down, saying lightly, "Sit down." Solomon did not speak very loudly, but his voice seemed to ring in everyone's ears. Everyone in the Royal Grand Arena then sat down. Solomon said lightly, "Begin the notarization." Carol waved her hand, and a maid came forward with a stack of documents that had been prepared long ago. Everyone involved in the bet sent people to take out the prepared documents and all kinds of treasures to publicly carry out the notarization. In fact, those documents and treasures had already been notarized beforehand. This time was only a formality in front of Solomon. After quickly carrying out the notarization, the notaries quickly retreated. Solomon said lightly, "Begin." In the Black Dragon Royal Grand Arena, 2 doors opened on both sides. 2 follower squads of 20 people respectively belonging to Anusha and Yang Feng came out from the 2 doors one by one. A presenter walked to the center of the Black Dragon Royal Grand Arena and said in high spirits, "Today, the 2 squads standing here are respectively the followers of Duke Anusha and Earl Rex. They will carry out a life and death duel on the Dragon Battle Isle. This is a huge wager with a value of more than 100 million magic stones. This wager is definitely the most brilliant wager in the last 10 years. Here we, the Royal Grand Arena, have also opened a betting area for this exciting battle. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to win are 1, 1, 1. The odds for Earl Rex's team to win are 1, 1, 3. The odds for Earl Rex's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Duke Anusha's team to survive are 1, 4. The odds for Earl Rex's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Duke Anusha's team to survive are 1, 3. The odds for Earl Rex's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Duke Anusha's team to survive are 1, 2. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Earl Rex's team to survive are 120. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Earl Rex's team to survive are 110. The odds for Duke Anusha's team to be completely annihilated and all members of Earl Rex's team to survive are 1, 4. In that case, ladies and gentlemen, pick up the betting devices in your hands and start placing your bets. Let us enjoy a crazy, wonderful, a rare joy of a wager fight. Chapter 97. The atmosphere of the entire Black Dragon Royal Grand Arena was stirred up by the presenter's words. Waves of spiritual energy unscrupulously scanned the two teams of followers below. Among the 100,000 aristocrats in the Black Dragon Grand Arena, nearly 10,000 of them possessed the cultivation base of an official warlock. This was the foundation of Tyrannid subcontinent's #1 empire, the Black Dragon Empire. The presenter casually cast a spell. Rays of light flickered in the center of the Royal Grand Arena and directly condensed into a light screen. The light screen displayed the amount of bets placed on the various bets. Among them, the bets for Anusha's team's victory were the highest, surpassing 60 million magic stones. Next was the total annihilation of Rex's team. The amount of bets followed closely behind. The bets for Rex's team's victory were few and far between. It was obvious that no one was optimistic about Rex's team. Anusha was one of the Black Dragon Empire's 36 great Black Dragon Blood Meridian family's patriarchs. She was a powerful existence of a pinnacle level, 3 warlock. Coupled with her family's incomparably huge influence, she could casually pick out countless experts from within her family. Black Dragon Empire's aristocrats weren't fools. They naturally wouldn't waste magic stones to bet on a newcomer like Rex. Yang Feng looked at the huge odds and was somewhat envious. What a pity, if I had enough magic stones, then I would be able to make a good profit. After the increase in the bets became very slow, only then did the venue's presenter said with a slight smile. All right, the bets are now over. This life and death gambling battle that is rarely seen in 10 years, officially begins. Finished speaking, the presenter silently recited an incantation and casually pointed. A magnificent light flickered in the center of the Royal Grand Arena, shrouding the 40 followers in the venue. A huge door appeared in the center of the Royal Grand Arena. The huge door opened and turned into a huge black hole, directly swallowing the 40 followers. A huge light screen suddenly formed in the center of the Royal Grand Arena, and the entire picture of an island was displayed on the huge light screen. Put this on. I'm sure there'll be a pleasant surprise. Rains gave Yang Feng a mysterious smile and handed him a pair of crystal glasses. Yang Feng put on the pair of crystal glasses and looked at the huge screen. He saw that the huge light screen was very strangely divided into 41 screens. The centermost screen displayed the panoramic view of the Dragon Battle Island. The other 40 screens showed the locations of the 40 soldiers. Yang Feng's mind moved, the screen continuously changed, before quickly changing to the screen of the warrior he wanted to chase and zooming in before his eyes. High-tech. Truly high-end. Yang Feng's heart shook, and he gained a deeper understanding of the warlock civilization. In Tyrannid subcontinent, many places were as poor and backward as medieval Europe. However, the worlds where the warlocks at the top of the world resided were extremely prosperous. They weren't the slightest bit inferior to modern Earth, and in some areas, they even surpassed Earth's level by far. Dragon Battle Island was a long and narrow island with a circumference of about 300 kilometers. It was almost the size of a viscount's territory. The Dragon Battle Island was densely forested and the terrain was complex. It was the best place for actual combat. Every year on the Dragon Battle Island, there would be more than a dozen extremely bloody fights between warlocks and followers. Those fights were also the most exciting and the most splendid matches. Once Anusha's group appeared on the Dragon Battle Island, a warlock silently recited an incantation. The magic staff in his hand suddenly blossomed with green radiance and enveloped his teammates. Under the illumination of the green magic radiance, The entire group of followers directly changed into grotesque trees. From the big screen, it seemed as if the members of Anusha's group had disappeared into the jungle. Only by adjusting the special glasses into a special field of view could one see the true faces of the members of Anusha's group. From time to time, those grotesque trees blossomed with magical radiances, casting one spell after another on themselves. The presenter said with extreme passion, "That's the level. One spell plant illusion. Divination disruption. Spirit scan shielding. Brute force. Light spirit. Detection spell disruption. Heavens, a total of 21 spells. So outstanding. This is Anusha's group. A perfect pre-battle spell blessing. Let us cheer for the perfect performance of the followers of Anusha's group. Kill him. Tear the trashes of Rex's group to shreds. I bet on you to win. Exterminate them for me." Above the Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena, countless aristocrats issued crazy roars. The sound waves formed by those terrifying roars seemed as if they wanted to overturn the Royal Grand Arena. Practically 95% of the Black Dragon Empire's aristocrats supported Anusha, because they had placed heavy bets on Anusha's group. After Anusha's group finished releasing the blessing spell, the figure of a tall and sturdy man with an ugly appearance suddenly distorted, transforming into a level 2 extraordinary life-form steel-feathered demonic eagle. It flapped its wings and soared into the sky, flying high into the sky. The presenter said somewhat exaggeratedly, "That's the level 2 spell extraordinary life-form morphing. He's a druid. Heavens, this warrior of Anusha's group is a rare druid. This is a very rare cultivation method, although it can't compare to us warlocks, but it has its own unique insight in the aspect of extraordinary life-form morphing. 500 years ago, after the last druid sect was exterminated by Savage Claw, traces of druids have rarely been seen in our continent. Duchess Anusha was actually able to recruit a druid to work for her. Let us cheer for her charisma. Duchess Anusha. Duchess Anusha, you're the best. Go to hell, Rex." Bursts of cheers once again erupted in the Royal Grand Arena. Anusha was a top beauty, moreover, she was a powerful existence of a pinnacle level, 3 warlock, one of the Black Dragon Empire's 36 great families' patriarchs. Her popularity wasn't something that a nobody like Yang Feng could compare to. In Tyrannid subcontinent, there were also a few inheritances of wizards, arcanists, druids, priests and so on. However, in this world dominated by warlocks, once the inheritances of those different planes appeared, without anyone's protection, they could only be annihilated, and then all the knowledge would be plundered by the warlocks and integrated into their own system. Druids, wizards, arcanists, these existences basically didn't dare to carelessly expose their whereabouts. Once exposed, then they would be directly captured by warlocks, plundered of everything and then carried out human experiments. For Anusha to be able to recruit a druid to work for her was already very remarkable. Chapter 98. On the other side, as soon as Yang Feng's group's followers entered the Dragon Battle Isle, the 10 level 2 warlock rank reinforcements cast one spell after another, directly blessing all the members of the group. The other 10 were great knights with control chips implanted in them by Yang Feng. The 10 great knights were purchased by Eunice through the slave market. In Tyrannid subcontinent, apart from the relative stability of the 6 great warlock groups, the rest of the areas were similarly in constant disputes. The old and new warlock groups were also fighting ceaselessly for their own benefits. The 10 great knights were the slaves from the defeated forces. The 10 great knights pressed the dimensional crests they wore on their chests. Tanks, self-propelled artillery and anti-aircraft artillery continuously flew out from the dimensional crests and landed on the ground. The Grand Arena's presenter used exaggerated body language to express his astonishment. Magic artillery? Magic chariots? The warriors of Rex's group gave us a huge surprise. They took out a lot of war weapons that I've never seen before. This made my explanation a lot more difficult. However, I think that we'll soon be able to see the use of these war weapons. What are those? What are those things? New alchemical products? On the suspended dais, the eyes of the Black Dragon Empire's top bigwigs also revealed traces of curiosity. They had only seen magic artillery. As for tanks, self-propelled artillery, anti-aircraft artillery and other war weapons, they had never seen them before. Anusha saw the tanks, self-propelled artillery and anti-aircraft artillery, A trace of an ominous premonition welled up within her. Angelica's eyebrows also creased slightly. This had already somewhat exceeded her calculations. This made her somewhat uneasy. Johann also creased his eyebrows tightly. His hands were intertwined. His gaze shifted and fell on Yang Feng. Carol was somewhat curious as she looked at those modern war weapons. Interesting. The corners of Solomon's mouth rose slightly, revealing a trace of a smile in the depths of his eyes. Solomon was the emperor of the Black Dragon Empire. He held great power. In Tyrandot's subcontinent, apart from the domain of great warlocks, there was practically nothing that he hadn't seen. The tanks, self-propelled artillery, anti-aircraft artillery and other Earth's war weapons, in his eyes, were nothing more than some rather interesting gadgets. As soon as the weapons flew out of the dimensional badges of the 10 Grand Knights, they automatically moved and formed one formation after another. Anusha's group's great druid turned into an steel-feathered demonic eagle and flew into the sky. Relying on the steel-feathered demonic eagle's super long-range vision as well as the steel-feathered demonic eagle's extraordinary innate ability to see through a variety of concealment and illusions, he searched around and very quickly locked onto the location of Yang Feng's group's members. Shortly after, the druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle faced upwards and issued a sharp and long cry. It flapped its wings and pitch-black feathers shrouded by wind force formed an arrowhead, pointing straight at Yang Feng's group. For an army of 40 mortals, it might take them a day or two to find the enemy. But for warlocks with strange means, it was very easy to find the enemy. They just needed to learn the corresponding spell to find the enemy. The great druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle. Even among level 2 warlocks, his ability to locate enemies was still a first-class existence. Fire! At this time, a great knight who was cast with a super long-range spell discovered the steel-feathered demonic eagle and ordered coldly. Within the anti-aircraft formation, the anti-aircraft cannons rumbled, countless flares rose and formed a rain of light, directly bombarding the steel-feathered demonic eagle in the sky. Not knowing what spell was attached to the crystal glasses, Yang Feng could clearly hear the rumbling sounds of the cannons, as if he was there. Under the bombardment of the countless cannons, the druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle flapped its wings and directly rose into the sky. Its speed also soared to the extreme, shuttling back and forth amidst the rain of light. The speed of the steel-feathered demonic eagle was extremely fast. Only 2 rounds of the anti-air cannons landed on its body, which then brushed past its feathers that were harder than steel and contained a powerful life force field. Thus, they were unable to harm its body. Yang Feng felt a slight shiver within. Amazing! Truly worthy of being called an extraordinary life form. Truly too abnormal. The caliber of the anti-aircraft cannons was 37 millimeters. Such an anti-aircraft cannons could easily pierce through the thick steel plates of an assault helicopter. If a human was bombarded by an anti-aircraft cannons, then they would definitely be torn apart. If an elephant was directly hit by such an anti-aircraft cannons, then it would definitely be killed. The steel-feathered demonic eagle could easily block the anti-aircraft cannons. Its defensive power completely exceeded the strength of any known life form on Earth. However, the barrage formed by the cannons clearly had the ability to threaten the steel-feathered demonic eagle's life. The druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle only flew far away in the sky, not daring to approach the anti-aircraft formation. At this time, within the anti-aircraft formation, the missile launchers flickered with flares. Surface-to-air laser-guided missiles were directly fired, madly bombarding the steel-feathered demonic eagle in the sky. The druid transformed into an steel-feathered demonic eagle felt that things were far from good. It continuously spun in the sky, flew and made all kinds of outrageous movements, attempting to shake off the surface-to-air laser-guided missiles. But no matter how it flew, it was unable to shake off the lock-on of the surface-to-air laser-guided missiles. Boom! 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 The surface-to-air laser-guided missiles bombarded the body of the steel-feathered devil eagle, exploding crazily. The steel-feathered demonic eagle's feathers scattered and blood splashed everywhere. The great druid in the form of an steel-winged demonic eagle forcibly blocked the bombardment of more than a dozen surface-to-air laser-guided missiles. In the end, its strength was exhausted, and it was directly blown into pieces by the missiles, turning into countless fragments that fell from the sky. So amazing! It can even get rid of the steel-feathered demonic eagle. So amazing! That's an extraordinary life form comparable to a level 2 warlock. The steel-feathered demonic eagle is a bird-type extraordinary life form. Its innate skill is steel feathers. The defensive strength of its feathers is even more tyrannical than that of steel. Moreover, as long as it wholeheartedly wants to escape while flying in the sky, then there aren't many level 2 warlocks that can kill it. The weapons of Rex's group are really too formidable. In the Royal Grand Colosseum, all the nobles were shocked by this scene, and they were all discussing it. Although the extraordinary life-form steel-feathered demonic eagle wasn't a match for a level 2 warlock, but it was still one of the most difficult level 2 extraordinary life forms to kill. Even some level 3 warlocks didn't have any good means to kill such an extraordinary life form flying in the sky and possessing formidable resistance. Such an extraordinary life form was actually forcibly shot down by Rex's group. Those aristocrats of Black Dragon Empire didn't dare to believe it. Chapter 99. Solomon revealed a trace of a smile of interest. Interesting. Level 2 extraordinary life forms like the steel-feathered demonic eagle. In front of Solomon, who possessed the terrifying power of a pinnacle level 3 warlock, it was only a pet-like existence. However, he was still somewhat surprised that the surface-to-air laser-guided missile could easily get rid of the steel-feathered demonic eagle. After all, level 2 extraordinary life forms were already considered to be very formidable existences. Apart from some alchemy products of peak warlock alchemists, ordinary weapons of war were basically unable to pose a threat to level 2 extraordinary life forms. It's just a fluke. As long as our people get close to them, then those weapons of war are all trash. Anusha's eyebrows creased at once. Traces of an unknown premonition welled up within her, and she continuously comforted herself inside. Those tanks, self-propelled artillery and other weapons of war would be reduced to scrap metal once warlocks got close to them. It was precisely because warlocks were so formidable that in this world of warlocks, weapons of war would seem to be somewhat in decline. Extremely strange eyeballs rose from above Yang Feng's group, peeping in all directions. Those extremely strange eyeballs were the level 1 spell mage's eyes. Through the mage's eyes, warlocks could clearly see the situation within a radius of more than a dozen li. The mage's eyes had an extremely long range, but it didn't have the ability to see through illusions. The experts in Anusha's group, under the effect of the plant transmogrification spell, quickly moved towards Yang Feng's group. Under the circumstances where the experts in Anusha's group weren't paying attention, the 2-meter-tall bear-like man who was walking at the forefront kicked an infrared ray. The self-propelled artillery, 155mm caliber heavy howitzers and multiple rocket launchers instantly adjusted their muzzles. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying shellfire in a split second completely engulfed the members of Anusha's group. The terrifying explosions plowed their location over and over again. Under the bombardment of the shellfire, the members of Anusha's group basically didn't have the space to dodge. They could only desperately cast spells to resist the bombardment of the shellfire. An enormous earth wall rose from the ground, and then directly crumbled under the bombardment of the shellfire. Protective force fields suddenly appeared, and then were smashed to pieces by the shockwaves from the explosions of the artillery shells. Huge extraordinary tree iron rattan trees suddenly rose from the ground. Countless rattans interweaved to form an iron rattan wall, blocking above Anusha's squad members. Not long after the iron rattan wall was formed, a dozen rockets bombarded the iron rattan tree and exploded, blasting it into pieces. Charge with me! Charge over and tear them to shreds! The bear-like man roared furiously, his eyes shot with blood, his body swelled up by a size. With a huge secret treasure shield in hand, he roared wildly like a savage and stimulated the power of the secret treasure shield. A formidable defensive force field erupted from his body and forcibly blocked one artillery shell after another. At the same time, he rushed towards Yang Feng's team. Anusha's group's experts followed behind that bear-like man and galloped towards Yang Feng's group's location. Simultaneously, protective magic force fields continuously blessed that bear-like level 2 warlock. The bear-like level 2 warlock was only able to advance less than 200 meters amidst the earth-shattering shellfire before his protective force field completely collapsed. He was also directly hit by a cannonball and exploded into pieces. Once the level 2 warlock with the strongest defensive power was killed, the complexions of the experts in Anusha's group immediately changed greatly. 6 experts madly rushed towards Yang Feng's group's location, while the remaining 12 experts from Anusha's group cast spells and fled towards the rear. Boom, boom, boom. Self-propelled artilleries, heavy howitzers and rocket launchers formed a net of artillery fire that poured countless shellfire, plowing the area where the 6 level 2 warlocks were located inside and outside. The 6 level Two warlocks who rushed forward barely lasted for less than 30 seconds before they were torn to shreds by the concentrated shellfire. The 12 powerhouses of Anusha's squad, who saw the opportunity early, escaped from the shell-covered position by relying on strange spells. After the 12 experts from Anusha's group escaped from the infrared sensor's range of detection, the practically earth-shattering shellfire at once completely stopped. Without sensing the target, randomly firing would only be a waste of shellfire. Amazing! Really amazing. These weapons of war are really terrifying. Too fierce. Really too fierce. All the aristocrats in the Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena inhaled a mouthful of cold air, their eyes brimming with shock. Many aristocrats' eyes brimmed with excitement. Black Dragon Empire had been peaceful for more than a millennium. Such a world-shaking battle was very rare. However, the majority of Blood Meridian warlocks had fierce and combative blood flowing within them. Even female warlocks were far more combative than ordinary people. Therefore, not only were these aristocrats not frightened by the battle, but they instead felt it to be very interesting and extremely excited. Even many female aristocrats were no exception. When Anusha, Johann and Angelica saw this scene, their complexions at once became extremely unsightly. Rains heaved a long sigh of relief, his face revealing a trace of a smile. The corners of Carol's mouth rose slightly, a trace of a smile flashing past the depths of her beautiful eyes. On the Dragon Battle Isle, after the 12 experts from Anusha's group escaped from the shellfire's range, like birds startled by the mere twang of a bough, they hid here and there for a good while. After discovering that the earth-shattering shellfire didn't descend again, they heaved a slight sigh of relief, before converging in a secluded grove. A tall, handsome and seemingly very capable man said with a gloomy face, "It seems like we have to use our final method." "Vino, it's up to you." A slim middle-aged man silently nodded, silently recited an incantation. With a flip of his hand, a palm-sized silver-white door at once blossomed with silvery light, rising in the wind and turning into a silver-white door up to 20 m tall and 6 m wide. There were 108 grooves on the silver-white door. The middle-aged man somewhat painfully fished out 36 superior magic stones as well as 72 intermediate magic stones and at once embedded them into the 108 grooves. Simultaneously, he silently recited an incantation and pointed at the silver-white door. A silvery magic radiance shot out from the middle-aged man's hand and fell on the silver-white door. The silver-white door immediately blossomed with incomparably resplendent silvery radiance. The space inside the door also distorted, setting off waves of ripples. Chapter 100. An up to 4 m tall, up to 100 m long level. Two extraordinary life-form giant fire rock centipede covered in a layer of flame-like red carapace quickly crawled out of the silver-white door. The silver-white door flashed with ripples. An up to 10 m tall level. Two extraordinary life-form four-armed green jade mantis with four blade-like arms and a green body flew out. The silver-white door rippled continuously, one after another level, one and level. Two extraordinary life-forms continuously crawled out of the silver-white door. The presenter's eyes lit up and he said loudly, "Warlock Summoner! That's a Warlock Summoner! So amazing! Anusha's group is truly a crouching tiger and hidden dragon. There's even a Warlock Summoner. As long as Warlock Summoners are given enough time and resources, then they themselves are a terrifying army. However, Warlock Summoners require too many resources. Their cultivation is too difficult and they're already very rare nowadays. Anusha's group actually still has a Warlock Summoner. That's simply too astonishing. Warlock Summoner. Haha, this time Rex's group is finished. Truly worthy of being Duchess Anusha, to even be able to recruit a Warlock Summoner. So wonderful, I can't wait to see Rex's group, to see the appearance of a large group of extraordinary life forms." Once the Warlock Summoner appeared, the atmosphere in the Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena at once became enthusiastic. All the aristocrats at once became excited. They were full of expectations for Anusha's group's victory. Warlock Summoners were also one of the many evolutionary paths of warlocks. They mainly focused on the law of summoning. Their main research direction was to summon formidable extraordinary life forms from other planes, as well as devils, fiends and other such formidable existences to descend into this world and fight for them. Warlock Summoners needed to consume a lot of precious materials to arrange a summoning array. Moreover, when summoning formidable existences from other planes, the slightest bit of carelessness would result in a backlash. Therefore, although Warlock Summoners were formidable, but they also slowly declined. Very few people specialized in this path. Of course, the number of warlock summoners that researched summoning techniques was also not small, but they weren't genuine professional warlock summoners. Yang Feng suddenly stared at Anusha and said, "Duchess Anusha, the number of extraordinary life forms summoned by that summoner exceeded 20. It exceeded the limits of this fight." Anusha said with a charming smile, "That warlock summoner is indeed a level 2 warlock. A warlock summoner's skill lies in summoning techniques. The extraordinary life forms that he summons can naturally be counted as a part of his battle prowess. It's completely within the limits of this battle." John smiled proudly and said, "That's right, summoned creatures are part of the summoner's strength, and warlocks are such existences. Laker, don't tell me you don't even know this common sense?" Angelica smiled sweetly and said, "It's no wonder. After all, Laker, you didn't have the system's knowledge before. Come to me. I will definitely systematically educate you and make you an outstanding warlock." Yang Feng smiled faintly, turned his head and put on his glasses. Without saying a word, he ordered coldly in his heart, "Start Plan B." On the Dragon Battle Isle, Great Knight rank experts touched the dimensional crests on their chests. Level 8 mechanical gunner troops equipped with all kinds of heavy firepower and level 8 beast-type mechanical bladed troops equipped with 8 high-frequency oscillation blades appeared on the Dragon Battle Isle. Anusha saw those level 8 primary battle robots and a trace of an ominous premonition welled up within her. Her pretty complexion changed and she said in a tender voice, "Laker, what's that? So many golems already exceeded the limit of 20 people." Johan's complexion also at once became somewhat pale, unsightly to the extreme. His body also trembled slightly due to anger. He stared fixedly at Yang Feng, as if wanting to tear him to shreds. Angelica also stared fixedly at Yang Feng with an ice-cold gaze. Yang Feng smiled slightly, his eyes flashed with a whiff of ridicule as he said, "Duchess Anusha, summoned creatures are part of a warlock summoner's strength. Golems are naturally also part of a warlock alchemist's strength. Those golems are naturally the golems refined by warlock alchemists. They belong to my followers and are naturally also a part of my followers' strength, just like a variety of secret treasures, aren't they?" Anusha's pretty complexion changed, her eyes flashed with a whiff of gloominess, she snorted coldly and remained silent. In front of Solomon and the many ministers of the Black Dragon Empire, Anusha couldn't lose her poise. One after another, extraordinary life forms came out of the silver-colored summoning gate. A total of 36 level 2 extraordinary life forms and 72 level 1 extraordinary life forms came out. Anusha's group of warlocks quickly blessed the 108 extraordinary life forms with all kinds of buff spells. After the 108 extraordinary life forms received the buff spells, their strength suddenly increased by more than double. After the warlock summoner summoned the 108 extraordinary life forms in one breath, he quickly swallowed quite a few vials of elixirs and then pointed towards Yang Feng's group. Shortly after, the 108 extraordinary life forms with different racial abilities quickly rushed towards Yang Feng's group. Boom, boom, boom. As soon as the extraordinary life forms came into contact with the infrared sensors in the forest, the artillery immediately fired, and countless artillery fire rained down on the extraordinary life forms. Under that dense shell fire, one after another, the extraordinary life forms were blasted to pieces. The warlock summoner sensed that his summoned extraordinary life forms were killed one by one. He had a splitting headache and spouted blood repeatedly. Those extraordinary life forms summoned by the warlock summoner all had a trace of a soul link with the warlock summoner. It didn't matter if 1 or 2 died, but if all of them were killed, then he would be crippled. Yang Feng watched as the warlock summoner's extraordinary life forms were smashed one by one under the shellfire. He said with a faint smile, "Really too weak. You don't even have the ability to force my followers' mechanical golem guards to act. Really too weak." Anusha, Johan and Angelica's complexions became even more unsightly when they heard that. "Beautifully done. Blast them to pieces." Haha. Rex's group. "Beautifully done. I support you. Blast them to pieces." The majority of the aristocrats in the Royal Grand Arena had ashen complexions. They remained silent. The aristocrats who had casually bet on Rex's group's victory became excited as if they were injected with chicken blood. They shouted loudly, "There's no other way. Now we can only start the final plan." In Anusha's group, a level 2 warlock covered in a layer of black armor said coldly, The warlock summoner's heart trembled slightly. He silently recited an incantation and then pointed towards the silver-white door. Strange ripples diffused from within the silver-white door. The extraordinary life forms summoned by the warlock summoner swiftly returned from the front and quickly gathered in front of the silver-white door. Chapter 101. The warlock summoner hesitated for a moment. His eyes flashed with a touch of a ruthless glint. He spat out a mouthful of blood essence and sprinkled it on the silver-white door. At the same time, he took out a blood-colored gem and directly threw it inside the silver-white door. Strange ripples were set off inside the silver-white door. The warlock summoner silently recited an incantation and pointed at the silver-white door. The silver-white door at once emitted silver rays of light and entered the bodies of the summoned extraordinary life forms. The heads of the extraordinary life forms that the warlock summoner had spent more than 100 years to collect were immediately blasted apart. Their vitality was extracted and entered the silver-white door. Shit! Yang Feng's complexion changed slightly when he saw this scene. His mind moved and he ordered the great knights inside the dragon battle isle. Immediately attack! A great knight pressed the dimensional crest on his chest. An enormous metal chest immediately flew out from the dimensional crest. 2 finger-sized cylindrical infrared life detectors were instantly ejected from the enormous metal chest and shot towards the location of Anusha's group. Once the infrared life detectors landed on the ground, infrared rays invisible to the naked eye immediately interweaved and formed a large infrared net, completely grasping the life fluctuations of all the large life forms within the net. Boom! 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 The artillery troops quickly adjusted their muzzles. Countless artillery fires fell with extreme precision on the location of the silver-white door. As long as the silver-white door was destroyed, then the warlock summoner would be screwed. Withstand it! The complexion of the warlock summoner, shrouded in a layer of black armor, as if he was the captain of the group, changed greatly and roared loudly. Magic rays of light flashed. An enormous tortoise-shell ice shield suddenly appeared above the silver-white door. More than a dozen large-caliber artillery shells bombarded the tortoise-shell ice shield. The terrifying explosions directly smashed the tortoise-shell ice shield into pieces. The tortoise-shell ice shield had just been smashed, when an enormous earth wall once again condensed and formed above the silver-white door. The enormous earth wall also didn't last more than 3 seconds before it was immediately smashed to pieces. One after another, defensive spells were quickly formed and then completely smashed under the fierce artillery fire. Under the desperate defense of Anusha's group of warlocks, they forcibly withstood the terrifying shellfire that blotted out the sky and displayed inhumanly terrifying defensive strength. Just then, a series of ripples appeared in the silver door, and a 10-meter-tall monster with 4 arms and a terrifying life force walked out. It seemed to be covered in a layer of bronze armor, and it had a ferocious appearance. When the host saw the monster walk out of the silver door, he immediately loudly explained, "This is an extraordinary creature, the 4-armed giant demon of the multi-armed giant demon race. An adult 4-armed giant demon has the terrifying power of a peak level 3 extraordinary creature. This was a rank 3 transcendent creature. This summoner was truly amazing to be able to summon such a ferocious creature. It seems that Anusha's team's victory is in sight." The multi-armed giant demon clan was one of the most powerful clans in the many planes. They weren't any weaker than the giant dragon clan. The battle prowess of that 4-armed giant demon might only be slightly inferior to that of a level 3 Blood Meridian warlock like Anusha with Black Dragon's Blood Meridians. Level 3 Blood Meridian warlocks with other Blood Meridians were practically not its match. Such an adult 4-armed giant demon could completely massacre a small state by itself. Tear them to shreds. Tear everyone in Rex's group to shreds. Go! Get rid of those good-for-nothings who only know how to use weapons of war. Tear them to shreds. Tear them to shreds. I've placed a heavy bet on you guys. Don't let me down. You good-for-nothings. Seeing the 4-armed giant demon appear, the atmosphere within the Royal Grand Arena once again boiled up. Countless aristocrats with bloodshot eyes roared madly and hooted. That 4-armed giant demon had the terrifying power to reverse the battle situation. The complexions of Anusha, Johann and Angelica at once became much better. Rain's complexion at once became extremely unsightly. Carol's eyebrows also creased slightly. Not long after that 4-armed giant demon walked out of the silver-white door, a pitch-black as ink huge palm with sharp claws suddenly extended from the silver-white door, at once grabbing the four-armed giant demon's head and casually twisting it. As if squashing an egg, the four-armed giant demon's head was immediately squashed. A bloody maw full of sharp teeth and exuding a strong smell of blood extended from the silver-white door. It opened its maw and directly swallowed the four-armed giant demon into its belly. Seeing that bloody maw, the complexions of everyone within the Black Dragon Empire's Royal Grand Arena changed greatly. They could all sense the endless evil aura coming from that bloody maw. Solomon, who had always been chuckling, finally restrained his smile, his eyes revealing a trace of graveness. When warlock summoners carry out a summoning from another plane, warlock summoners with insufficient strength would often summon some terrifying beings from another plane. Many of those terrifying beings from other planes were bloodthirsty by nature. Once they descend upon this world of warlocks, they would start a massacre within this world of warlocks, devouring the flesh and souls of all life forms. Some terrifying beings from other planes even possess terrifying strength comparable to that of gods. If it was such a terrifying being, then no one in Tyrannid subcontinent would be the opponent of such a terrifying being. After that bloody maw devoured the four-armed giant demon, a head with 8 eyes and a malevolent maw on its forehead immediately squeezed towards the silver-white door, attempting to squeeze out of it. That terrifying being slightly bumped against the silver-white door. Immediately after, the silver-white door trembled, produced countless cracks, and was on the verge of collapse. Obviously, that silver-white door was unable to bear the energy consumption of that terrifying being to cross planes. The more powerful the being, the more energy they needed to consume to cross planes. Therefore, it was very difficult for those formidable beings to instantly descend to a world with their true bodies. That warlock summoner also directly spouted a big mouthful of blood, his complexion at once aged by a decade. Chapter 102. After the 8-eyed terrifying existence left behind a projection and descended into this world, it opened its mouth and inhaled. Anusha's group of level 2 warlocks were sucked into its mouth one by one, as if they were ants, without the power to resist. That bloody maw closed. Incomparably mournful blood-curdling screams were immediately transmitted from that terrifying existence's bloody maw. Simultaneously, several legs were continuously struggling and squirming outside that bloody maw. Level 2 warlocks already belonged to the category of extraordinary life forms. They had terrifying life force. But that terrifying life force also made them suffer even more before death. After that terrifying existence had swallowed all the members of Anusha's group apart from the warlock summoner, it then withdrew its body in satisfaction and disappeared inside that silver-white door. I am Mandragula, lowly humans. Offer me powerful flesh and souls, or else I'll eat you. That 8-eyed terrifying existence's projection turned its head towards the sky. The 8 eyeballs twisted and turned, it said eerily. In a split second, the complexions of all the warlocks in the Black Dragon Imperial Grand Arena changed slightly. They could feel as if they were being fixedly stared at by that 8-eyed terrifying existence. Just like a frog being stared at by a snake, fear rose from the depths of their hearts. Yang Feng's complexion changed slightly. He was full of dread towards that freak. To actually be able to trace this place through the power of magic, that freak is really too terrifying. That freak's main body that could trace this place through the power of magic was absolutely comparable to that of a god. The originally lively and vigorous presenter also had a pale complexion. His body shivered and his legs went soft. Boom, 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 boom. After all the warlocks in Anusha's group were swallowed by that 8-eyed freak, the defensive spells they had cast immediately collapsed. Shortly after, a dense hail of artillery fire engulfed that terrifying freak. Interesting. This world's weapons of war? Unfortunately, they're just some interesting toys, nothing more. It's impossible for them to injure me. Amidst the explosion, a cold and cruel laughter was transmitted. That strange cruel laughter crossed countless kilometers. Under the effect of a nether law, it reverberated in the ears of everyone in the Black Dragon Imperial Grand Arena. The cannonballs that were originally aimed at the silver-white door were deflected by a strange force, and landed hundreds of meters away from the silver-white door. The terrifying explosion instantly blasted the open space hundreds of meters away from the silver door into smithereens, leaving huge craters everywhere. In the center of the silver-white door, one could see the 8-eyed freak standing proudly and coldly looking at the sky. Its 8 eyes flickered with a peculiar radiance, and a terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock diffused from its body. Yang Feng stared at the 8-eyed freak and frowned. What a powerful freak! The application of power has completely surpassed the standard of a level 3 warlock. If they stood still, then even a great warlock rank expert would have their defenses broken by the endless shellfire, and then be blasted into pieces. However, as long as one was proficient in the application of various spells, they could create strange effects similar to the eight-eyed monsters. The trajectories of the artillery fire were directly distorted by the eight-eyed monster with a strange force, basically unable to hit it. It also didn't need to expend too much power to withstand the might of the artillery explosions. That's why it could so easily withstand the bombardment of the artillery fire. The level of its application of power wasn't something that an ordinary level 3 warlock could compare to. The projections of formidable beings from other planes were basically invincible in the same rank. It was extremely difficult to defeat them. The eight-eyed monster's two eyes emitted a strange radiance, distorting the trajectories of the various artillery shells. The remaining 6 eyes turned and at once locked onto the experts in Yang Feng's group within the dragon battle isle. Delicious flesh and souls. Offer them all to me. Mandragol's 6 eyes swiveled. It gave a sinister smile, and extremely strange radiances shot out from its 6 eyes. The bodies of the 6 level 2 warlocks more than a dozen li away trembled, blood flowed out of their pores, and very strangely, copious amounts of blood spurted out of the 7 apertures on their heads. Along with transparent spirits, they turned into blood arrows and shot towards Mandragula in a flash. Within a short span of a few breaths, those 6 blood arrows, along with the souls of the 6 level 2 warlocks, flew into Mandragol's mouth, making it chew them in big mouthfuls. The bodies of the 6 level 2 warlocks trembled. They fell to the ground and turned into 6 corpses. Seeing this scene, everyone felt a slight chill in their hearts. On the dragon battle isle, the complexions of Yang Feng's group's warriors were even paler, their bodies trembled, their eyes brimming with fear. Such a strange and savage freak wasn't in existence that they could defeat. At this moment, 20 level 8 beast-type bladed troops at once swept out from the jungle. Holding high-frequency oscillation blades, they fiercely chopped at Mandragol. A bunch of steel lumps. I'll tear you apart. Mandragol's eyes flashed with a touch of malevolence. Its figure shook. It at once appeared like a specter behind a beast-type bladed troop. It slapped its head with its palm. In a split second, the beast-type bladed troop immediately crumbled from top to bottom, turning into countless components that were ejected in all directions. Mandragol's palm revealed its terrifying control over power. It completely shattered the interior of the beast-type bladed troop. The main control core was also completely smashed under its palm. After smashing the beast-type bladed troop with a palm strike, Mandragol's figure flashed, directly dodging the countless gunner troops' artillery fire, and very strangely appeared in front of another beast-type bladed troop. His claw pierced into the bladed troop's left chest, forcibly pulling out the beast-type bladed troop's main control core and casually crushing it. Once the main control core of the beast-type bladed troop was crushed, it lost all of its strength. It weakly fell to the ground. When Yang Feng saw this scene, he felt a slight chill in his heart. Such a terrifying freak. To actually see through the bladed troop's main control core in such a short period of time, truly a freak. The position of the beast-type bladed troop's main control core was very hidden, even if a level 3 warlock was able to destroy those beast-type bladed troops, but it still wouldn't be that easy to discover its main control core. Mandragol merely destroyed one beast-type bladed troop and then grasped the bladed troop's main control core. Its strong insight was simply appalling. Chapter 103. Mandragol's figure flickered. He easily dug out the 6 beast-type bladed troops' main control cores. The remaining beast-type bladed troops didn't even come into contact with its body. When Mandragol arrived before the 7th beast-type bladed troop, its electronic eyes turned red, and the self-destruct bombs hidden within its body instantly detonated. Practically at the same time, the remaining more than a dozen beast-type bladed troops simultaneously detonated the bombs within their bodies. Boom, 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 boom. Along with earth-shattering explosions, everything within a kilometer's diameter was completely engulfed by the terrifying explosion shockwaves. Every level 8 beast-type bladed troop had a terrifying self-destruct bomb capable of killing a level 3 warlock buried within its body. The simultaneous detonation of more than a dozen beast-type bladed troops, the might was simply earth-shattering. Even a pinnacle level 3 warlock extraordinary life form, with the slightest carelessness, would also be blown to pieces. Has he been killed? All the aristocrats in the Black Dragon Empire's royal grand arena thought with trepidation. Mandragol's terror made them feel fear from the bottom of their hearts. Self-destruct? Interesting. However, if you want to kill me with a self-destruct, the power of such a self-destruct would be at least several tens of times stronger. Only then would you be able to kill me. Along with a sinister laugh, Mandragol had a sneer on his face as he walked out of the smoke and dust. No, don't. But Mandragol's smile only lasted for less than a second, before it immediately became alarmed and issued a mournful roar. The body of the warlock summoner standing near the silver-white door instantly shattered into countless fragments, blood splashing everywhere. Having lost the support of the warlock summoner's life force, the silver-white door instantly crumbled and exploded. The instant the silver-white door exploded, an extremely strange attractive force shrouded Mandragol's projection, directly pulling it into the void. The reason why Mandragol's projection could exist in this world was entirely due to the warlock summoner using his life force to support the silver-white door's power. Once the warlock summoner died, it would lose the support of its power, could only collapse and disappear, returning to its own world. A projection comparable to a deity. Interesting. Become my research subject. A voice suddenly came from the Dragon Battle Island. A huge claw that looked like a black dragon's claw grabbed Mandragol's projection from the void and threw it into a crystal ball. Then, it disappeared from sight. Yang Feng watched as Mandragol's projection was grabbed by the enormous black dragon's claw without any resistance, and his heart shook. So strong, that's a great warlock hidden in Black Dragon Empire. Powerful indeed. The Royal Grand Colosseum was silent. After the host took a deep breath, he quickly smiled and said with incomparable passion, "All the members of Anusha's team are dead. Now, I announce that Rex's team is the winner of this wagered fight. Let us cheer for this wonderful battle." Well done. I won the bet. I won the bet. Bursts of cheers and applause came from the Royal Grand Arena. Even the aristocrats who placed the bet wrongly also applauded, acknowledging that this was an extremely wonderful wagered fight. Anusha, Angelica and Johan's complexions at once became very unsightly. Carol heaved a slight sigh of relief. Rains, on the other hand, had a happy expression on his face. Yang Feng also heaved a slight sigh of relief. The terrifying existence from another plane that was summoned by the warlock summoner in Anusha's team almost reversed the battle. Were it not for Yang Feng decisively detonating a large number of level 8 bladed troops to kill the warlock summoner, then the remaining experts in Yang Feng's team would have been easily killed by Mandragol. Solomon said with a slight smile, "Rex, congratulations on winning this wagered fight. However, I want to know where those weapons and golems came from." Gazes were also concentrated on Yang Feng, their gazes brimming with scorching colors. They were all very interested in the weapons that had displayed extraordinary splendor in the wagered fight. "Your Majesty, I bought those war weapons and war puppets from Steel City. The only blood relative of Steel City's city lord, Yang Feng, and I are good friends. Those golems with battle prowess comparable to level 2 warlocks, I can buy them from him for 1,000,000 magic stones each. Those are self-propelled artillery, 100,000 magic stones each, 1,000 magic stones each. Those are heavy-duty howitzers, 100,000 magic stones each, 500 magic stones each. Those are multiple rocket launchers, each one costs 50,000 magic stones. Each shell costs 500 magic stones." Yang Feng introduced them full of enthusiasm. If he could, Yang Feng didn't mind selling arms on a large scale. In any case, those arms had back doors. Whoever used those arms to deal with him would only be courting death. Moreover, selling arms was definitely a windfall. If the construction cost of a self-propelled artillery was converted into magic stones, then it would be at most 2 magic stones. Yang Feng directly quoted a slaughter price of 100,000 magic stones, in order to ruthlessly rip off the suckers of Black Dragon Empire. After Solomon heard Yang Feng's price, his enthusiasm at once dropped by a lot. Black Dragon Empire also had a lot of secret treasures manufactured by warlock alchemists, such as magic artillery, steel golems. He was extremely wealthy, so he naturally didn't fancy weapons. Solomon pondered for a moment and then said, "Then Rex, help me buy 10 level 2 warlock rank golems as well as 10 different kinds of weapons." "Yes, your Majesty." Yang Feng sneered inside, but on the surface he said respectfully, Solomon wanted to buy those level 8 bladed troops and level 8 gunner troops for the purpose of researching and imitating those alchemy products. With Black Dragon Empire's research capabilities, as long as there was a real reference, they could easily imitate them. However, Yang Feng naturally had a way to encrypt those weapons through other methods, as well as mislead the materials of those weapons. Even if Solomon obtained his primary battle robots, the manufacturing cost would definitely be terrifyingly high. After casually saying a few words, Solomon got up and left. A notary took a few large bags of documents and handed them to Yang Feng, Rains and Carol. Anusha, Angelica and Johan's complexions became extremely unsightly when they saw this scene. Anusha and Angelica were a bit better off. They were the patriarchs of Black Dragon Empire's two great clans. This bit of loss wasn't enough to hurt them. Johan, however, suffered some heavy losses from that defeat. Anusha and Angelica, the two women immediately turned around and left. Johan, however, quickly adjusted his mood. His face carried a trace of a smile as he walked before Yang Feng. Congratulations on your victory, Rex. Chapter 104. Rain stepped forward and said with a ridiculing expression, "Then I have to thank you, Johan Gidge. You gifted Rex a marquee dom for free. That's really too generous. As your younger brother, I'm proud of your generosity." Johan's face twitched slightly, then he forced a smile and said, "Rex, I'm very interested in the weapons in your hands. How about I ask you to sell me a batch of weapons?" Yang Feng was slightly surprised. He pondered for a moment, then nodded and said, "All right." What Yang Feng lacked the most at the moment was magic stones. Since there was a sucker for him to slaughter, he naturally wouldn't let it go easily. Even though Rains won a large amount of magic stones from Johan, Yang Feng still felt that it wasn't enough. Johan quickly brought Yang Feng to a room, under the witness of a notary. He quickly drafted a contract and purchased a batch of 30 million magic stones worth of weapons from Yang Feng. But at the same time, it was stipulated that Yang Feng must deliver the batch of weapons to Johan within 3 months. Black Dragon Empire Satsuma Marquisdom's western part, Thundercloud Mountain Range, in a remote valley. There was an enormous crevice that was several tens of kilometers long and several kilometers wide. Below that enormous crevice was the paradise of all kinds of dark races that had been exiled to the underground world. According to legend, the underground world was the third Warlock dynasty's demonic divine dynasty's era. Some demonic gods that had escaped from the hands of human warlocks used supreme divine abilities and a peerless secret treasure to establish a rebel headquarters. Countless ancient demons, devils and gods that attempted to rebel against humans gathered in this rebel headquarters and fought fiercely against human warlocks for several millennia. In the end, all the rebels were suppressed, sealed, and killed by the human warlocks. Under the battle of countless experts, many unstable places in the entire origin world were smashed to pieces and formed secondary continents. Tyrandot subcontinent was one of those secondary continents. In Tyrandot subcontinent, there was also an underground world. In those days, the underground world gathered the resentment, killing intent and hatred of countless demonic gods towards humans. Many places had restrictions, strange phenomena and other aggregations with great destructive power towards humans. In the secondary continents, it was very difficult for humans to survive in the underground world. All kinds of pets and other races that had escaped from the hands of human warlocks gathered in the underground world and formed an incomparably formidable force. In the first layer of the underground world, at the edge of the huge crack leading to the surface world, there was a majestic war fortress, the demonic snake fortress. This demonic snake fort was the Black Dragon Empire's bridgehead in the underground world. There were countless precious resources in the underground world that the surface world didn't have. Some slaves of different races were extremely popular in the human world. For example, the beautiful and coquettish dark elves were just ordinary goods in the underground world. However, if they were captured and sold to the human nobles in the surface world, they would definitely be the favorite playthings of the human nobles. Apart from that, there were also countless precious extraordinary plants, ancient creatures that were almost extinct on the surface, and all kinds of precious mineral resources in the underground world. In order to obtain those precious resources, humans and the races of the underground world fought ceaselessly. At the same time, they also traded with each other to obtain items that were useful to both sides. Demonic Snake Fortress was the humans' bridgehead in the underworld. It was also a huge trading center in the underworld. Every year, the Black Dragon Empire could obtain more than 20 million magic stones in taxes from Demonic Snake Fortress as well as all kinds of precious cultivation resources from the underworld. Demonic Snake Fortress. In a gloomy secret room, there was a middle-aged man with a tall and sturdy figure, dressed in a pitch-black armor, exuding a terrifying life force comparable to that of a level 3 warlock and a beautiful dark elf dressed in a black leather armor. The leather armor only covered 3 parts of her body, exposing a large area of her dark and smooth skin. There was a transparent crystal ball placed in the center of the table. The extremely beautiful dark elf's eyes were like silk, she coquettishly said towards the middle-aged man. It's really boring, Hubert. I've already stayed here for more than a dozen days. It's so boring. How about accompanying me to have some fun? Hubert swept the dark elf with an ice-cold gaze, as if he was looking at a filthy thing, and said coldly, Aina, don't provoke me, or else I'll cut you down. Dark elves were lascivious by nature. They would often capture human males as well as males of other powerful races and bring them to their nests to copulate, giving birth to all kinds of grotesque monsters. Many misophobia and bigotry human warlocks were extremely disgusted with dark elves, viewing them as pigs and dogs. Aina restrained all her charm and muttered, Really a blockhead. The room sank into silence at once. Suddenly, ripples rose on the surface of the transparent crystal ball, and characters clearly appeared on the crystal ball's surface. Hubert carefully looked at those characters, his eyebrows creased slightly, and he said coldly, Notify your lowly companions, we'll make our move in 3 days. All right. Aina's eyes flashed with a touch of ecstasy. She took out a crystal ball, silently recited an incantation and pointed at the crystal ball. Shortly after, a black magical radiance hit the crystal ball, and then she immediately reported to the crystal ball. In the evening of the same day, the 30,000 most elite Demonic Snake Corps stationed in Demonic Snake Fortress directly left the fortress with countless supplies. The entire Demonic Snake Fortress fell into a panic. A large number of adventurers as well as the residents who had already settled in Demonic Snake Fortress frantically fled the fortress. 3 days later, an allied force consisting of dark elves, cavemen, gnomes, dwarves, gnomes, ogres as well as all kinds of huge life forms easily captured Demonic Snake Fortress. Black Dragon Empire's capital. Ever since he won the wager with Anusha, Yang Feng was like a fish in water within Black Dragon City. Under Rain's lead, he easily blended into the aristocratic circle of Black Dragon Blood Meridian warlocks. Many aristocrats of Black Dragon Empire took the initiative to look for Yang Feng, wanting to buy all kinds of weapons. Among them, the beast-type bladed troops with battle prowess comparable to level 2 warlocks were the best sellers. A level 2 warlock beast-type bladed troop was sold for 1 million magic stones. Many aristocrats couldn't come up with so many magic stones. However, they had large amounts of gold coins, all kinds of ores and resources. They were very willing to use those ores and all kinds of resources to exchange with Yang Feng for a level 2 warlock beast-type bladed troop. Yang Feng was also happy to take advantage of these suckers. He signed all kinds of contracts and sent a steady stream of resources back to Steel City. Furthermore, in one breath, he sold 20 beast-type bladed troops as well as 5 million magic stones worth of high-energy crystals as the beast-type bladed troops' power source. With the input of all kinds of ores, Steel City, which was originally limited by raw materials and the majority of the munitions factories, at once recovered its vitality. Every munitions factory rumbled and a steady stream of primary battle robots were manufactured. Practically every day, Yang Feng's forces would grow stronger by a fraction. Chapter 105. Within Rain's Manor's Garden. Yang Feng embraced Judy in one hand and Shurshui in the other, leisurely and comfortably admiring the flowers. Fucking Johann. Rex, your title and territory have already been prepared. Rains had a gloomy expression as he sat beside Yang Feng, his voice brimming with gloom. However, that fucking Johann made a move. Your Viscountdom and the Satsuma Marquisdom that Johann lost to you are joined together. Yang Feng asked somewhat baffled. Isn't this a good thing? Viscountdom and Marquisdom were joined together. Like this, it would be very easy to manage. If the territories were separated, then it would be more troublesome to manage. Rain said with a gloomy expression. Satsuma Marquisdom's stronghold guarding the entrance to the underworld, Demonic Snake Fortress fell 2 days ago. Those fucking underworld races captured Demonic Snake Fortress. Only about 100,000 of demonic snake fortress's 500,000 residents escaped back to the surface world. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased when he heard that. His eyes flashed with a touch of graveness. According to our Black Dragon Empire's laws, Rex, as the Lord of Satsuma Marquis Dom, you must recover demonic snake fortress after it fell. Otherwise you'll be deprived of your aristocratic title and the right to rule over all of Black Dragon Empire's territories. If it was an ordinary time then it wouldn't matter, but according to the information sent back by our intelligence personnel in the underworld, the underworld's dark elves organized a large number of underworld races to wage a holy war against us humans. Satsuma Marquis Dom, as one of the 8 entrances and exits between our Black Dragon Empire and the underworld, will definitely suffer fierce attacks from the underworld races. No wonder Johann would so straightforwardly take out a Marquis Dom to wager with us. It turns out that regardless of victory or defeat, he wouldn't suffer any losses. Rain said while gnashing his teeth. The underworld's different races were able to contend against Tyrandot subcontinent's humans for many years without being conquered. Their battle prowess could be well imagined. The holy war launched by the underworld's races would definitely be a terrifying disaster for Tyrandot subcontinent's humans. No one knew how many trump cards those underworld races that had been entrenched in the underworld for many years had. 8th Warlock Dynasty's ancient warlocks could use the underworld as a place for low-level warlocks to gain experience. Modern warlocks weren't as formidable as 8th Warlock Dynasty's ancient warlocks. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly as he said, "Then how many more days can I stay in Black Dragon City?" Rain said with a gloomy face, 10 days, the Noble Senate has already issued a death order. I order you to head to the Satsuma Marquis 8 within 10 days to preside over the counterattack against Demonic Snake Fortress. Yang Feng was like a fish in water within the Black Dragon City. Every day he could sell a large amount of arms. Rains had similarly obtained tremendous benefits from Yang Feng. Once Yang Feng was forced to leave the Black Dragon Empire, then it would be as if Rains had lost an arm. He would no longer be able to contend against Johann. Eunice's beautiful eyes flashed with a hint of worry as she suggested, "Master, there are many experts in the underground world. In the last millennium, more than 16 Tyrandot subcontinent's great warlocks have disappeared while exploring the underworld. According to speculation, they all died in the underground world. Now that the underground races had started a holy war, it was too dangerous. Why don't we leave the Black Dragon Empire immediately and avoid this whirlpool? More than 16 great warlocks have fallen in the underworld." Yang Feng's face flashed with a touch of shock. Every great warlock was extremely formidable. Even in other planes, they would be known as legend rank experts. They would be great figures who could leave their names in history. For such formidable existences to have 16 of them fall in the underworld, it could be clearly seen how dangerous the underworld was. Rain said with a gloomy face. To be exact, it's more than 27. This is the accurate figure obtained by the Black Dragon Empire. Our Black Dragon Empire also has 5 great warlocks that have fallen in the underworld. Yang Feng pondered for a moment and then asked curiously, "Why did those great warlocks take the risk to go to the underworld?" The underworld has a lot of incomparably precious magic metals, extraordinary plants and ancient life forms. A lot of magic metals that have been mined to the point of extinction in the surface world are very common in the underworld. A lot of precious resources are also of enormous benefit to great warlocks. This attracted a lot of great warlocks to explore the underworld. Reportedly, there are adult black dragons in the underworld. In order to slaughter black dragons and extract their blood meridian's essence, several of our Black Dragon Empire's great warlocks entered the underworld. In this millennium, our Black Dragon Empire has succeeded in slaughtering dragons 3 times. But at the same time, we have also lost 5 great warlocks. It was also because of those 3 successful slaughters that our Black Dragon Empire was able to become Tyrandot subcontinent's largest state. Rain said slowly. Black Dragon. Yang Feng's eyes lit up slightly. Within Yang Feng's body was the power of the ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians. If the power of the ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians could devour enough Black Dragon's blood meridians, then there would be a trace of hope for it to evolve into a true ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians. Once Yang Feng's blood meridians evolve into a true ancient Black Dragon's blood meridians, then he would have the potential to evolve into a Starry Sky warlock. But to slaughter a dragon, it wasn't that simple. Every black dragon was comparable to a great warlock. Moreover, they were very cunning. It was impossible for them to be like the sealed Vedarnia, allowing Yang Feng to use a large amount of primary battle robots to kill them. Eunice promptly advised, Master, a holy war is a religious war. It's generally a battle to the death. Since the Dark Elves are waging a war in the name of a holy war, then it's definitely a terrifying war to the death. They won't give up until they achieve their goal. The entire foundation of the Dark Elves will be mobilized. Even great warlock rank experts may fall in a holy war. These religious lunatics are completely unreasonable. For the sake of a divine decree from their Lord God, even if they were to commit suicide, they would still commit suicide. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased. Only now did he understand why Johann was so decisive in giving him that precious marquisdom. Johann didn't want to waste his strength on Satsuma marquisdom in vain. In this kind of holy war to the death, no matter what kind of relationship Johann had with the Dark Elves, in front of a holy war, it was as fragile as paper. If Johann's strength was completely consumed in a war with the Dark Elves, then he would basically have no chance of becoming Black Dragon Empire's emperor. This Johann is too decisive. So decisive that it's scary. Such an enemy is the most troublesome. Moreover, he just ordered a large amount of arms from me. On one hand he can resell the arms, on the other hand he can also weaken my battle potential. That guy is really scary. Yang Feng at once understood why Johann immediately placed such a huge order for arms after the wager. He felt somewhat terrified. Yang Feng pondered for a good while, before finally making a decision. I've made up my mind. After 10 days I'll set off for Satsuma marquisdom. Yang Feng turned around and said, Eunice, I need your strength. Eunice said with a charming smile, Yes, master, I'm willing to contribute all my strength to you. Chapter 106. Babylon City was located in the center of Satsuma marquisdom. It was also the capital city of Satsuma marquisdom. Babylon City was a huge city with a population of up to 800,000 people. At this moment, outside of Babylon City, countless people were bustling with activity. The Dark Elves commanded the allied forces of the underworld's various races to counterattack the surface world, easily breaching demonic Snake Fortress. This news scared the guts of countless people. A large number of aristocrats and freedmen rushed towards Babylon City. An approximately 20 m long black magic carpet flew in the sky. Everyone on the ground looked up at the black magic carpet in the sky, their eyes flashing with a whiff of awe. Only warlocks, existences that transcended mortals, could ride the magic carpet. Yang Feng looked down from above the black magic carpet. Relying on his extraordinary vision, he had a panoramic view of everything on the ground. Yang Feng said with some surprise, What a surprise, there's actually people maintaining order. At the city gate, there were 8 warriors maintaining order, guiding the fleeing crowd into Babylon City. Yang Feng had already received the news that Johann had withdrawn all of his forces from Satsuma marquisdom. The majority of Babylon City's forces had already been withdrawn. He had originally expected to see a chaotic Babylon City. He hadn't expected to see such order here. That magic carpet was Eunice's secret treasure. Although she was merely a pinnacle level 1 warlock, but she was a Blood Meridian warlock and had a lot of good treasures. Eunice smiled slightly and explained, This isn't surprising. Although Satsuma marquisdom belongs to Johann, but there are also a lot of properties belonging to aristocrats and great merchants. In order to protect their own interests, they would naturally organize themselves and maintain order. Yang Feng looked somewhat regretfully at the warlock pagodas above the city wall and sighed slightly. Unfortunately, after the withdrawal of a large number of warlocks, these warlock pagodas are akin to ruins, without any strength. Babylon City, as the capital of Satsuma marquisdom, had 9 5-story tall warlock pagodas built above the city wall. If there were 9 level 3 warlocks overseeing the 9 5-story tall warlock pagodas, then even a great warlock could contend against them. Unfortunately, all of Babylon City's great warlock families had already evacuated along with Johann. With only some lesser aristocrats remaining, the 9 5-story tall warlock pagodas simply couldn't gather enough manpower to guard them, and also couldn't display the terrifying power that could contend against great warlocks. Without any valiant warlocks garrisoned, Yang Feng and his party riding the magic carpet easily flew into Babylon City and towards the city master's mansion. A flame rose from the direction of the city lord's mansion. From the sky, Yang Feng looked in the direction of the city master's mansion and saw that hundreds of thugs had entered the city master's mansion and set it on fire. At the same time, they threw feces, urine, and other disgusting things into the mansion, shouting incessantly. The City Master's Mansion and the Warlock Pagoda were different. The City Master's Mansion was the place where Xiaofan enjoyed the pleasures of mortals. In the City Master's Mansion, there was a large neutralization pagoda that could completely neutralize the formidable life force released by level 3 warlocks, so that the formidable life force released by level 3 warlocks wouldn't combine with various buildings and form all sorts of strange phenomena. It was precisely because of this that those thugs were able to break into the City Lord's Mansion, and didn't dare to break into the Warlock Pagoda. So troublesome, kill them all. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly as he ordered coldly. Judy, who was kneeling beside Yang Feng, slightly pressed the dimensional crest on her chest. Shortly after, 10 level 4 humanoid bladed troops flew out from the dimensional crest, landed on the ground and immediately pounced towards the City Lord's Mansion. Warlocks! There's a warlock! Everyone quickly flee! From the City Lord's Mansion, waves of terrified screams and extremely mournful screams were transmitted. Before long, the more than 300 thugs in the City Lord's Mansion were all killed by the expressionless bladed troops. When the people hiding in the shadows and watching the City Lord's Mansion saw this scene, they successively inhaled a mouthful of cold air. They understood that Satsuma Marquis had brought a character that shouldn't be trifled with. The City Lord's Mansion was massacred until rivers of blood flowed. The smell of blood was extremely heavy. After leaving Eunice to preside over the affairs of the Lord's Mansion, Yang Feng took Judy, Shui and a dozen level 4 knight-rank mechanical golems to stroll around Babylon City. Eunice possessed the ancient life-form Starstone Crow's blood meridians. Moreover, her blood meridians were extremely pure. She wasn't only a cultivation genius, but she was also very intelligent and proficient in management. She had a huge industry in the Southern States Coalition. The economic lifelines of several principalities were under her control. If she wasn't worried that Aldrich would extract her blood meridians, then with her talent, she would have already broken through and promoted to a level 2 warlock. Shui, such a formidable existence born from a taboo stone, wasn't Eunice's match when she was a level 1 warlock. Eunice's strength could be seen at a glance. After understanding Eunice's talent, Yang Feng also felt relieved and handed over all the affairs of Satsuma Marquis to her. NR 3790 XS Steel City had a perfect order. Its only shortcoming was the lack of flexibility. It didn't have any flexibility with regards to the territory's independent development and management. This was also its only weakness. Eunice's flexibility and NR 3790 SS robots jointly formed a ruling structure. It was the most perfect combination in Yang Feng's mind. Help! Help me! Suddenly, from a place not far in front of Yang Feng, a girl's pleasant and mournful cry for help was transmitted. Yang Feng followed the sound and looked, only to see four malevolent-looking scoundrels that didn't look like good people surrounding a young girl. Moreover, they had playful expressions on their faces as they tore at the young girl's clothes. The young girl's clothes were torn to shreds as she incessantly cried. What a beautiful girl, she's a grade prettier than Judy, but her figure is a bit lacking compared to Judy. Yang Feng swept the young girl with a glance, his eyes slightly brightening. Shit, what are you looking at? A blonde scoundrel with a face full of pockmarks turned his head and swept Yang Feng with a glance, then pulled out a dagger and gestured at Yang Feng for a while, threatening, "Scram, or else I'll stab you to death." The remaining few scoundrels also pulled out daggers and loudly threatened the surrounding residents. The nearby residents' faces revealed expressions of fear. One after another they hid in their homes, not daring to come out. Ever since Xiaofan withdrew all of Babylon City's forces, Babylon City's public security deteriorated day by day. Even though there were still some aristocratic private troops maintaining order, but it was still impossible for it to be as good as before. The beautiful young girl raised her head and revealed a delicate and pitiful expression as she implored Yang Feng. "Save me, big brother, I beg you, save me." Chapter 107. All right, I'll save you. Yang Feng gave a hearty smile, pulled out a 37mm hand cannon powered by a high-energy crystal from his waist and fired at the beautiful young lady's head. Bang! In a split second, the beautiful young lady's head exploded, red and white matter splattered on the ground. The bodies of the four scoundrels stiffened. Then their faces revealed expressions of alarm. "Warlock Darren, don't kill me. Spare my worthless life. Don't kill me. Spare my worthless life." A yellow-haired scoundrel promptly knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowed and implored bitterly. The other 3 scoundrels also directly knelt on the ground, repeatedly kowtowed and begged Xiaofan for their lives. Warlocks, such formidable existences, had already surpassed mortals and stepped into the realm of extraordinary life forms. The majority of warlocks didn't view ordinary people as beings on the same level as themselves. Previously, under Johan's rule, Babylon City could be considered to be in order. Warlocks wouldn't casually kill people in the city. But now that the entire Babylon City was without a master, those scoundrels didn't dare to become enemies with a warlock who would kill people in the middle of the street for no reason. At that moment, incomparably sharp black tentacles ejected from the corpse of the beautiful girl whose head was blown off. As if fine steel spears, they instantly pierced through the bodies of the 4 scoundrels and stabbed towards Xiaofan's heart, leaving behind a trail of blood. Black Dragon Scales. Xiaofan instantly triggered the spell solidified in his spirit sea. Countless black dragon scales instantly appeared on the surface of his body. Warping Force Field. Xiaofan casually pointed. A warping force field appeared out of thin air, shrouded the black tentacles, instantly warping them and shifting them to one side. On both sides of the street, tightly shut doors suddenly opened. Dozens of assassins dressed in black raised their daggers and madly shot at Xiaofan. The numerous crossbow bolts at once hit Xiaofan's body, before being ricocheted by the dragon scales covering his entire body. Even among level 1 spells, the level 1 defensive spell Black Dragon Scales was one of the most formidable in terms of physical resistance and magical resistance. Its defensive power was comparable to some level 2 defensive spells. Those crossbow bolts could kill knight rank experts, yet they couldn't even break Xiaofan's skin. Suddenly, alarms went off in Xiaofan's mind. He instantly bent over, and a dark blue ray of light shot out from the dense rain of crossbow bolts, brushed past his body, and stabbed into a wall. As if tofu, the bolts penetrated the wall, leaving behind traces of toxic corrosion, and disappeared. Xiaofan suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. Ordinary crossbow bolts naturally couldn't injure him in the slightest, but the alchemy crossbow combined with the magic breaking arrow could definitely kill him. If he hadn't trained his skills in the virtual reality combat cabin, he would have been severely injured or even killed by the assassin's arrow. Xiaofan was alarmed and angry. He immediately reached out and pressed the dimensional crest on his chest. In that dimensional badge, there were 5 dragon-scaled mechanical warriors, his strongest bodyguards. Suddenly, the eyes of the scoundrel corpse closest to Xiaofan, pierced through by the tentacles of the beautiful young lady, blossomed with endless vitality. His entire body very strangely ejected, appeared behind Xiaofan, and made a stabbing motion, stabbing towards Xiaofan's heart. A premonition of death welled up in Xiaofan's mind. He clenched his teeth, his body directly twisted in violation of the laws of physics, and abruptly shifted a few centimeters to the side. Xiaofan's left chest suddenly strangely appeared with a long wound, as if it was cut open by an invisible dagger, and simultaneously blossomed with the radiance of 6 curses. Xiaofan suddenly felt his vision blur, his head felt like it was splitting, his limbs were powerless, his spirit collapsed, he felt nauseous and wanted to vomit, his strength continuously flowed away, his knees softened, and he almost collapsed to the ground. The scoundrel corpse's attack succeeded, his figure shifted sideways, and once again fiercely stabbed towards Xiaofan's heart while holding the invisible and colorless secret treasure dagger. A claw covered in black dragon scales stretched out from the side and easily grabbed the invisible dagger artifact. In a flash, a terrifying life force comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock erupted. The eyes of the dragon-scaled mechanical warrior flickered with a cold glint, and it ferociously punched towards the scoundrel's corpse with the life force of a level 3 warlock. In a split second, the scoundrel's corpse exploded, and countless thumb-sized black insects with wings and sharp mouthparts flew out and pounced towards Xiaofan. The other dragon-scaled mechanical warrior activated its level 4 protective shield, and a transparent shield instantly appeared in front of it, blocking the countless black bugs. A black figure instantly broke free from the gangster's corpse and flew to the roof of a house, revealing a sexy and voluptuous woman wrapped in black tights. She had a head full of black hair and was exuding a seductive aura from head to toe. The black-haired exceedingly beautiful woman said with a sweet smile, "This is the mechanical golem comparable to a level 3 warlock?" It was indeed powerful. "Rex, I'm the assassin Muna invited by the allied forces of the Dark Elves. Stabbed by my dusk dagger, you'll suffer from 6 different curses. Life-sucking, weakness, mental collapse, soul weakening, life loss and chi and blood burn. Only I, the owner of the dagger, can remove these 6 curses. Return the dusk dagger to me, and I'll help you remove the curses and spare your life. Kill them all, just leave their heads behind. Yang Feng endured the headache. His eyes flashed with a touch of ruthlessness and he ordered sternly. The figures of the 2 dragon-scaled mechanical warriors shook, and they pounced into the shops on both sides, brandished their claws, and as if squashing ants, tore the assassins in the shops to pieces. One of the dragon-scaled mechanical warriors pounced at the headless tentacle woman, and blew her up with a punch. The figure of the other dragon-scaled mechanical warrior shook, and like a bolt of lightning, it shot towards the exceedingly beautiful assassin supporting Muna. What a boorish beast! I'll retrieve my dusk dagger after you're dead. Muna smiled slightly, and then her body collapsed, turning into countless wisps of black smoke and disappearing. Yang Feng's pupils constricted slightly when he saw this scene. NR 3796's database contained a large number of spells, but he didn't know what kind of spell Muna had used to escape from the hands of the dragon-scaled mechanical warriors with battle prowess comparable to that of a pinnacle level 3 warlock. Without the strange and unfathomable assassin Muna, the strongest among the remaining assassins were merely knight rank experts. They simply couldn't resist the slaughter of the dragon-scaled mechanical warriors and were very quickly wiped out. Chapter 108. The Dusk Dagger's 6 curses could slowly curse a level 2 warlock to death. Yang Feng bathed in the blood of an ancient dragon. His body's resistance to curses was extremely terrifying. After half an hour, he finally dispelled the 6 curses one by relying on his tyrannical life force. After recovering, Yang Feng looked at the corpses on the ground, creased his eyebrows slightly and said in a low voice, "Who sent people to assassinate me?" Judy said curiously, "Wasn't it the assassins sent by the Dark Elves? As long as they assassinate Master, then without a leader, Satsuma Marquisdom would be theirs." Yang Feng said with a bitter smile, "I originally thought so. But Muna's words instead made me even more puzzled. Moreover, if the demons joined hands with the Dark Elves, then the problem would be even greater." Yang Feng's gaze fell on the corpse of the tentacle young lady that was chopped into pieces, creased his eyebrows and said in a low voice. The tentacle young lady was from one of the 5 great demon imperial clans, the Undying Hellion clan. Even though her head had been smashed, but she still hadn't died. If Yang Feng hadn't felt that something was wrong with her and acted in advance to smash her head, then it wouldn't have been so simple to kill her. The Hellion clan was the product of the Second Warlock Dynasty's taboo experiments. The 5 great Hellion ancestors were the crystallization of Second Warlock Dynasty's warlock technology. The 5 great Hellion ancestors were respectively the Undying Hellion ancestor, the Myriad Beasts Hellion ancestor, the Ancient Demonic Hellion ancestor, the Giant Divine Hellion ancestor, and the Myriad Divine Hellion ancestor. During the manufacturing process, the founding emperor of the Second Warlock Dynasty, the Taboo Emperor, used his flesh and blood, part of his soul, spirit, countless treasures of heaven and earth, and rare materials to forge the 5 Hellion ancestors into the strongest weapons. After the Taboo Emperor's death, the 5 great Hellion ancestors immediately rebelled against Second Warlock Dynasty, creating a large Hellion army and fiercely fighting Second Warlock Dynasty for thousands of years. In the end, the 5 great Hellion ancestors were suppressed by Second Warlock Dynasty. But Second Warlock Dynasty also paid an extremely painful price. Its rule was on the verge of collapse, and finally the dynasty collapsed. Demons, this kind of taboo life form, were existences that fed on humans. Unless they promoted to great warlock-ranked demons, low-level demons were basically unable to control their appetites. Every day, they had to eat human flesh in order to be able to stay awake. Moreover, once a fiendish demon devoured a human, it could obtain all the human's knowledge and most of the human's power. Therefore, fiendish demons were almost the natural enemy of humans. In the world of warlocks, countless human experts were killing Hellions. However, even though the Hellions had suffered repeated defeats and had been strangled by human warlocks for hundreds of thousands of years, they were still alive, but their movements were becoming more and more secretive. Among the Hellions, there were 5 great Hellion imperial clans. The 5 great Hellion imperial clans were respectively inherited from the 5 great Hellion ancestors. They possessed the blood meridians of the Hellion ancestors, and their cultivation speed was as astonishing as that of human blood meridian warlocks. Moreover, Their evolutionary potential was practically endless. There were even human warlocks who, in order to obtain power, degenerated into Hellions. The Tentacle Girl was from the Undying Hellion clan, one of the 5 Hellion imperial clans. Now that she was killed by Yang Feng, he had a headache. This was tantamount to forming a blood feud with the Demon Clan. Of course, the Tentacle Girl wasn't an important figure in the Undying Hellion imperial clan, but if the Hellion powerhouses encountered her, they wouldn't mind killing Yang Feng. The severed heads of the assassins were collected. Together with the Tentacle Girl's corpse, they were thrown into a warehouse and handed over to a specialized memory-reading robot to read their memories. The origins of the assassins were quickly read. They came from an assassin organization called Death Shadow. This time, they were hired to assassinate Yang Feng. Apart from this, the small fry assassins didn't know anything too important. The memory cores of Hellions were different from that of humans. Their memory cores were located within their demonic cores. Of course, the demonic cores were also a kind of important crystallization of biological energy. They were also one of the hard currencies in the world of warlocks. The head of the Tentacle Girl from the Undying Hellion clan was smashed by Yang Feng's cannon, but her demonic core wasn't damaged. Therefore, Yang Feng was able to read a lot of memories from her demonic core. The Tentacle Girl from the Undying Hellion clan came from Samuel Dukedom next to Satsuma Marquis-dom. Samuel Dukedom was ruled by Samuel family, one of the 36 Black Dragon Blood Meridian families. The Hellion Girl was the favorite concubine of one of Samuel Dukedom's sons. From the memories of the Hellion Girl, Yang Feng learned that Samuel Dukedom's son was very clear about her identity as a Hellion. Moreover, the Samuel family also kept a group of undead fiendish demons in captivity for the family to serve as slaves. Hellions had to eat human flesh and blood in order to maintain their rationality. For the Samuel family, rearing fiendish demons was as easy as lifting a finger. Every year, a lot of criminals in their territory would be eaten by those Hellions. The Undying Hellions were a sharp sword to deal with their enemies. Undying Hellions possessed the blood meridians of the Hellion ancestor. Even if their blood meridians were thin, it would still be very easy for them to promote to a level 1 warlock. Moreover, it was very normal for Hellions to kill people. Even if those Hellions were caught, Samuel family wouldn't be suspected, because they had set up magic restrictions inside the bodies of those Hellions. Once those Hellions wanted to leak information, then they would self-detonate. Yang Feng's eyebrows creased slightly, his mind full of doubts. What's going on? I don't have any grudges or conflicts with Samuel family, so why would they send people to assassinate me? Yang Feng was currently Satsuma Marquisdom's lord, shouldering the heavy responsibility of resisting Satsuma Marquisdom's allied forces from the underworld's races. Even Hardadef only withdrew all of his power and didn't leave too many obstacles for him. Samuel Dukedom and Satsuma Marquis-dom were neighbors. Once Satsuma Marquis-dom was breached, then Samuel Dukedom would be bordered by the underworld's race's allied forces. Any sane lord wouldn't try to assassinate Yang Feng at this time. Yang Feng had a gloomy expression, puzzled after much thought. Could it be that Samuel family has already colluded with the underworld's race's allied forces? In the end, what's in it for them? Eunice arrived beside Yang Feng and said, "Master, there's an urgent military situation." Yang Feng had an ominous premonition. What urgent military situation? Eunice's eyebrows were shrouded in a layer of haze as she said, "Fishtooth City was captured by the Dark Elves' allied forces a day ago. The Dark Elves' allied forces are currently marching towards Baza City." Yang Feng was very surprised as he said, "Fishtooth City was captured? How could it be so fast?" Fishtooth City was a large city with a population of around 200,000. It was the gateway to Satsuma Marquis-dom. Once Fishtooth City was captured, then Satsuma Marquisdom's hinterland would be exposed to the Dark Elves' allied forces. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.